What if I told you that one ordinary-looking penny from 1944, a simple copper coin with no mint mark, could be worth as much as $1.3 million? Yes, that's right. A penny you might walk past on the sidewalk or ignore in your change jar could be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most incredible stories in American coin history, the 1944 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a small piece of metal that changed the world of coin collecting forever. In 1944, the world was at war. Factories were running 24 hours a day, producing supplies, vehicles, and weapons for World War II. Copper, the main metal used to make pennies, was a critical resource for making bullets, shell casings, and other wartime materials. Because of that, the U.S. Mint made a major change the year before. In 1943, pennies were struck in steel coated with zinc instead of copper. But when 1944 arrived, the Mint decided to switch back to copper. They used recycled shell casings from the war to produce the coins. These became known as the shell case cents. However, something strange happened during that transition. In rare cases, a few 1943 steel planchets, leftover blanks from the previous year, accidentally got mixed in with the new copper ones. When the dies for the 1944 penny struck these leftover planchets, they created an ultra-rare coin, the 1944 steel penny. But the story doesn't end there. The 1944 no-mint mark copper penny, produced in Philadelphia, is another legendary piece. While most 1944 pennies are common, a very small number of these coins have unique characteristics that make them extremely valuable. Die variations, doubled dies, and striking errors that turn an ordinary penny into a millionaire's dream. Now, here's where things get truly fascinating. The Philadelphia Mint didn't use a mint mark in 1944, meaning every coin without a mint mark came from that facility. But because of war production, there were inconsistencies in the metal composition, striking quality, and even die maintenance. Some coins from that year display bold, deep details and strong luster, while others have faint or misaligned strikes, and these tiny details can make a world of difference. One of the most sought-after versions is the 1944 no-mint mark Lincoln penny struck on a steel planchet, an extremely rare minting mistake. Only a handful are known to exist. Collectors have spent decades hunting for these elusive pieces, and when one surfaces, the bidding war is intense. At major coin auctions, a genuine 1944 no-mint mark steel penny has fetched prices well over $1.3 million. Just imagine, a single penny that could pay off your house, buy a luxury car, or secure your retirement. It must read 1944 with no mint mark under the year. That means it was minted in Philadelphia. Next, pay close attention to the color and weight of the coin. Most 1944 pennies are made of copper and should have a reddish or brown tone. However, if your 1944 penny looks silver or gray and sticks to a magnet, that's your first clue. The genuine million-dollar versions were accidentally struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943. They are magnetic, lighter than copper, and have a silvery shine. Be sure, weigh your penny. A copper 1944 penny weighs about 3.11 grams, while the rare steel version weighs 2.7 grams. That small difference can change your life. If you believe you found one, don't clean it, don't polish it, and don't try to make it look shiny. Cleaning can destroy the coin's value. Instead, place it in a protective holder and have it authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll confirm whether it's genuine, and if it is, congratulations, you've struck gold, or in this case, steel. Now, even if your 1944 penny isn't the million-dollar variety, that doesn't mean it's worthless. Many 1944 copper pennies in mint condition still sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, especially those with strong luster, clear details, or unique errors like doubled dies or off-center strikes. Let's take a look at some real-life stories. In 2010, a collector at an estate sale unknowingly bought a jar of old coins for just $5. Inside, he discovered a 1944 no-mint mark penny that turned out to be struck on a steel planchet. After grading, it sold for over $1 million at auction. One man's spare change became another man's fortune. Another case involved a teenager who found an unusual-looking penny in his grandfather's coin box. It looked silvery, unlike the rest. After testing it with a magnet, he discovered it was magnetic, a 1944 steel penny from Philadelphia. That discovery changed his family's life forever. Stories like these remind us that treasures don't always hide in gold chests or buried ruins. Sometimes, they hide right in our pocket change. If you're wondering where to start, grab a magnifying glass and a simple magnet. Go through your pennies carefully. Check the year, the mint mark, the color, and the weight. You might just have something extraordinary sitting in your collection without even realizing it. Coin experts agree that coins like the 1944 no mint mark penny represent the most exciting part of collecting, the thrill of discovery. It's not just about money. It's about holding a piece of history in your hand, a small artifact that survived war, time, and chance to tell its story today. So next time you get change from the grocery store, don't overlook that old penny. Because one of them, maybe the one sitting right in your palm, could be worth over $1.30 million. The 1944 no mint mark Lincoln penny is more than just a coin. It's a reminder that even the smallest things can hold the biggest surprises. And who knows? The next great discovery might just be waiting in your pocket. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe for more hidden treasures, rare coin secrets, and unbelievable finds that could change your life. Because in the world of coins, every penny tells a story, and some stories are worth a fortune. Imagine this: you're emptying your pocket change, just another ordinary day, and among those dull brown coins lies one penny that could change your entire life forever. A simple 1968 no mint mark Lincoln penny, the kind most people would never even glance at, could be worth up to $1.4 million. Yes, you heard that right. One single penny could make you a millionaire. Let's go back to where it all began. The year is 1968. The United States is in the middle of change: Apollo missions, the Vietnam War, and the American penny is still made mostly of copper, 95% pure. But hidden in those millions of pennies struck that year, a few were different, coins that somehow defied the normal minting process. And today, collectors around the world are desperately searching for them. The 1968 no mint mark Lincoln penny was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Now, here's the thing: not all no mint mark pennies are valuable. Most are common, worth just a cent. But a select few 1968 no mint mark pennies were struck with extreme precision errors, deep die doubling, or in some cases, on the wrong planchet entirely. These rare features transform an ordinary penny into a multimillion-dollar treasure. It all comes down to one word: rarity. Imagine only a handful of coins in existence that carry these unique flaws. One example, found in near-perfect condition, displayed dramatic doubling on Lincoln's profile and the inscriptions, "Liberty," and "In God We Trust." The collector who discovered it couldn't believe their eyes. Graded at the highest level by professional coin graders, this one coin shattered expectations at auction, fetching over $1 million. Now, let's talk about the clues that might help you identify if your 1968 penny is one of these rare treasures. First, check the obverse. That's the front side of the coin. Look closely, preferably under a magnifying glass. Do you see any doubling in the date, especially on the 1968? Do the letters in Liberty or In God We Trust appear shadowed or slightly overlapping? If they do, that's a strong sign of a double die error, one of the most valuable mistakes a coin can have. Next, examine the surface of the coin. The rare $1 million 1968 pennies often have sharp, clean details, and very little wear. If your coin looks like it just came from the mint, with clear edges, full lines on Lincoln's coat, and bold letters, it could be in what collectors call mint state condition. High-grade coins like these can skyrocket in value. Another major clue lies in the color and tone of the copper. Some of the rarest examples show a deep red or bright reddish-orange shine, almost glowing under the light. This indicates the coin has not been exposed to air for too long, preserving that beautiful original luster, something collectors will pay an enormous premium for. It's all about supply and demand. Millions of people collect Lincoln pennies. but only a few examples of the 1968 no-mint mark with major die errors exist. When rarity meets perfection, the price explodes. In recent auctions, collectors have fought tooth and nail to own one. The bidding starts in the thousands, then climbs to the tens of thousands, and before anyone can blink, it crosses the $1 million mark. Imagine the shock of finding out that an old penny sitting in a jar on your shelf could pay off your home, your car, and still leave you with a lifetime of financial freedom. That's the magic of coin collecting, the thrill of the unknown hiding in plain sight. But here's something most people don't realize. Even lower-grade versions of the 1968 no-mint mark penny can still be worth hundreds, or even thousands of dollars, depending on the condition and the strength of the doubling. So even if your coin isn't perfect, it might still be far more valuable than a single cent when searching for these coins. Pay close attention to the year and mint mark. Remember, Philadelphia pennies from 1968 do not carry a mint mark at all. So if you see a D or an S, those were struck at Denver or San Francisco, not Philadelphia. The true $1 million coin is the one with no mint mark, the one that looks almost ordinary. But isn't doubt there's also a fascinating twist to the 1968 series, proof coins from San Francisco. While those carry an S mint mark, some collectors mistakenly overlook no mint mark business strikes that can hold hidden errors. Proof coins are shiny and mirror-like, but the valuable no-mint mark coin has that natural copper sheen and shows those rare doubling effects under close examination. Someone finds one of these rare pennies in a handful of change from a grocery store, sends it off to be graded, and weeks later gets a call saying their penny is worth more than a house. It's happened before, and it could happen again. These stories are what keep collectors searching, checking every penny that passes through their hands. Even experts admit that there may still be undiscovered examples out there, tucked away in piggy banks, jars, or boxes of forgotten coins. Every year, new discoveries are made, turning ordinary people into overnight millionaires. That's why coin hunting is one of the most exciting hobbies in America, because sometimes, all it takes is one coin to change everything. So tonight, go through that jar of old coins. Pull out your magnifying glass. Look closely at those 1960s pennies. Because if you happen to find that perfect 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln penny with a doubling error, you could be staring at $1.4 million sitting right in the palm of your hand. It's not just a coin. It's history. It's luck. It's a hidden fortune disguised as pocket change. If you enjoyed this story and want to uncover more hidden treasures that could be sitting in your home right now, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell, because every week, we reveal another coin that could change your life forever. Imagine this. You're digging through an old jar of pennies, maybe one you've had sitting on your dresser for years. You pick up a brown, ordinary-looking coin from 1976. It's scratched, dull, and looks like it's worth next to nothing. But here's the shocking truth. One rare 1976 Lincoln penny just like that has been valued at an incredible $1.5 million. This is not a myth. It's a true story of a rare coin that slipped through the cracks of history, and it could still be sitting in someone's pocket right now. Let's dive deep into the mystery of the 1976 Lincoln penny, how this ordinary copper coin became worth a fortune, and how you can tell if you have one of these rare treasures hiding in your change. 1976 was a big year for America, the bicentennial year. The nation was celebrating 200 years of independence. The U.S. Mint was producing special coins to commemorate the occasion, like the quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins with the dual date 1776 to 1976. But here's what most people don't know. The humble Lincoln penny also has a secret from that same year. While there was no special bicentennial design for the penny, something unusual happened at the Denver Mint. During 1976, the Mint used both leftover 95% copper planchets from earlier years and newly introduced planchets for testing newer materials. This created a series of strange and valuable errors, and one of those rare error coins is what collectors today call the $1.5 million 1976 Lincoln penny. So what makes this coin so special? It's not just the date or the D mint mark under the year. It's the metal composition, the die variety, and the near-perfect mint condition that make it so valuable. Most 1970-60 Lincoln pennies were made of copper, weighing about 3.11 grams. But a small handful were accidentally struck on experimental planchets that were lighter and had a slightly different color tone, coins that slipped past quality control. These experimental strikes were never meant to leave the mint, but somehow, a few did. Now, imagine being the person who discovers one of those pennies in circulation decades later. That's exactly what happened. A collector came across a 1970-60 penny that looked slightly different, shinier, smoother, and lighter in color. It was sent for grading and authentication, and the results stunned everyone. The penny was struck on the wrong metal planchet, an ultra-rare mint error, and its pristine condition made it one of the finest examples ever seen. Its estimated value today, $1.5 million. Here's the part that gives every coin collector chills. These rare 1970-60 pennies are nearly impossible to identify by eye alone. You need to check the weight. A normal copper penny weighs around 3.11 grams, but these rare ones can weigh around 2.5 grams if struck on the wrong planchet. That's your first clue. The second clue is the color. Most 1970-60 pennies have a deep reddish-brown tone. But the rare ones can appear lighter, more golden, or even silvery depending on the metal composition. And the third clue is the condition. The coin that reached over $1 million was in mint-state condition, shining like it just left the press, with no scratches, no wear, and a perfect strike. So, if you've got a 1970-60 penny lying around, don't ignore it. Get a small digital scale and check the weight. Look at the surface carefully under bright light. Even the smallest difference could change your life. Let's talk about what collectors are actually paying. Regular 1970-60 pennies are worth about 1 to 5 cents in circulation. But in higher grades, like mint state 65 or above, they can bring in up to $25 or more. However, for rare mint errors or special die varieties, the story changes completely. Coins with off-metal strikes, double dies, or off-center errors from that year have sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars. But the one unique coin with the experimental planchet error is the crown jewel. It's valued at $1.50 million. What's even more exciting is that experts believe there might be more of these out there. Many of these experimental coins went unnoticed for decades because nobody thought to look for them. They blend in perfectly with ordinary change. So the next time you get pennies back at a store, or go through an old coin jar, take a second look at the ones from 1976, especially with the D mint mark under the date. Now let's talk about why condition matters so much. Collectors and grading companies use a 70-point scale to rate coins. A grade of MS-60 means it's uncirculated but has marks or scratches. MS-65 means it's near perfect. And MS-70 means it's flawless. That's museum-level perfection. The $1 million 1970-60 penny was graded at one of the highest levels possible, which is part of why it's so valuable. There are also rumors of a few 1970-60 pennies with double die obverse errors, where Lincoln's profile or the date looks slightly doubled. If verified, those could also be worth tens of thousands of dollars each. So what should you do if you think you have one? First, don't clean the coin. Cleaning can destroy its collector value instantly. Place it in a soft coin holder or protective case. Then, take it to a professional coin dealer or send it to a certified grading company like PCGS or NGC. They can weigh, test, and authenticate it properly. Remember, stories like these remind us that hidden treasures can be found in the most ordinary places. Someone could be holding a $1.5 million penny without even realizing it. And it's that possibility that makes coin collecting so exciting. Every old penny tells a story, and some tell a story worth a fortune. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, take a closer look at your change. Check your coin jars, your drawers, that old piggy bank from years ago. Because one of those little copper coins might just be the ticket to $1 million discovery. And that's the incredible story of the 1970-60 Lincoln penny worth $1.5 million. I'm talking about the mysterious 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that, in rare cases, has been valued at up to $1.6 million. This is not just a story about copper and metal. It's a story about luck, mystery, and the incredible power of small details. So sit back, because what I'm about to reveal might have you checking your spare change like never before. Let's rewind for a moment to the year 1981. Ronald Reagan had just become president. The average home cost around $80,000. Gas was barely over $1 a gallon. And in that same year, the U.S. Mint quietly produced the last full run of copper Lincoln pennies before the switch to cheaper zinc coins in 1982. That small change in composition would go on to create some of the most valuable pennies in American history. Now, when we say, no mint mark, what exactly does that mean? Normally, U.S. coins carry tiny letters that tell us where they were minted. A D stands for Denver and S for San Francisco, and no letter at all means it came from Philadelphia. But here's where things get interesting. Not all no mint mark pennies are the same. Some were struck with extreme precision, perfect planchets, and unique die errors that make them 1 in a million, literally. Among those, the 1981 no mint mark penny stands out as a hidden legend. Most collectors pass right over it, assuming it's just another ordinary coin from Philadelphia. But under a microscope, a small group of these coins reveals something extraordinary: flawless strikes, double designs, and a metallic composition that sets them apart from the rest. A few of these rare 1981 no mint mark Lincoln pennies were mistakenly struck on the older 95% copper planchets, but with a level of detail usually reserved for proof coins. Imagine finding a proof quality coin in your everyday pocket change. It's like finding a diamond in a gravel pile. Now, let's talk about why this coin is worth so much money. First, rarity. Experts estimate that only a few dozen examples exist in pristine, uncirculated condition. Many were lost, spent, or damaged long before collectors realized their significance. Second, historical importance. This was the last year before the mint changed the penny's material, meaning it's a symbol of the end of an era in American coinage. And third, condition. Collectors pay enormous sums for coins graded MS-67 or higher by professional services like PCGS or NGC. A 1981 penny that clean, with no scratches, no discoloration, and that original mint luster, can bring jaw-dropping prices. One immaculate specimen, authenticated and graded at the top tier, has been valued at $1.6 million, making it one of the most valuable modern Lincoln pennies ever known. Think about that for a second: a single cent, worth more than a luxury mansion. That's the magic of numismatics, the art and science of rare coins. Every tiny imperfection, every minting quirk, every change in metal, can turn a common coin into a national treasure. First, check the year. The date should clearly read 1981, with no small letter underneath the year. That means it's from the Philadelphia Mint. Second, look closely at the details. The edges should be crisp, Lincoln's portrait sharp, and the letters clear and deep. If your coin appears almost mirror-like, it could be a rare proof strike that somehow escaped into circulation. Next, weigh your coin. A true copper penny from 1981 should weigh about 3.11 grams. If it's noticeably lighter, around 2.5 grams, it's made of zinc, and that means it's from after the transition in 1982. But if yours weighs the full 3.11 grams and shows unusual luster or doubling in the lettering, you might be holding a treasure. Collectors often use magnifying glasses or microscopes to spot subtle errors, like a doubled die on the date, or the words, Liberty, or In God We Trust. These doubling errors, especially when combined with a no mint mark and perfect strike, can increase the value dramatically. Here's another clue to watch for: the coin's surface color. A genuine copper penny will have a deep reddish tone, and when preserved properly, it shines with a warm, rich hue that zinc pennies can't replicate. If you find one in almost mint condition with this deep copper color, never clean it, never polish it. That could destroy its collector value instantly. Always keep it in a protective sleeve or coin holder and have it professionally graded. Now, let's talk about where people have found these hidden treasures. Some have discovered them in old coffee cans, tucked away by grandparents decades ago. Others have stumbled across them in pocket change or inherited coin jars that hadn't been touched since the early 1980s. Every year, news stories emerge of lucky finders cashing in their tiny copper fortune, turning 1 cent into 6 or 7 figures overnight. And here's the truth: the next story could be yours. Because these coins are still out there. Every day, millions of pennies change hands, and among them could be one of these extraordinary 1981 no-mint mark rarities. Imagine the feeling of holding a coin that has survived more than 4 decades, unnoticed, and realizing it's worth a fortune. That's the thrill of the hunt, and it's why so many collectors keep searching. So before you spend your change, take one last look. You might see something no one else noticed. Look for that 1981 date. No mint mark. A perfect copper tone. Crisp lettering. Uncirculated condition. These are the signs that your penny could be something truly special. Because somewhere in the United States, maybe right now, someone is sitting on a coin worth $1.6 million, and they don't even know it yet. In the world of coin collecting, miracles happen every day. Tiny discs of metal turn into priceless artifacts. Forgotten change becomes a life-changing discovery. And all it takes is one moment of curiosity, one decision to look closer. So the next time you see a 1981 penny with no mint mark, don't ignore it. Hold it up to the light. Study its shine. Feel the weight of history in your hand. Because that little coin might just be your ticket to $1 million moment. Imagine finding a single penny that could change your entire life. A penny so rare, so mysterious, that collectors would pay over $1 million just to call it their own. This isn't a fantasy. This is the true story of the 1968 mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that has shocked the world with its staggering value of up to $1.70 million. Let's take a journey back to 1968. America was in a time of change. The Vietnam War was raging, Martin Luther King Jr. had just been assassinated, and a young generation was rewriting history. But while the nation was focused on politics and protests, something small, almost invisible, was happening inside the San Francisco Mint. The 1968 Lincoln penny was being struck, and among the millions produced, a few came out unlike any others ever made. These special coins carried secrets that would only be discovered decades later. Tiny errors. Strange details. Unbelievable precision that didn't belong to that era. And today, those exact flaws and features are what make this 1968 penny worth an eye-watering $1.70 million. So what makes this penny so valuable? Let's uncover the clues. First, the mint mark. That tiny S just below the date tells us it was struck in San Francisco. But not every penny is special. Most are worth just 1 cent. However, some of these 1968 pennies were struck with a rare proof finish, coins made for collectors, not circulation, yet somehow, a few of them escaped into everyday pockets and cash registers. Imagine buying a soda in 1970 and unknowingly handing over $1 million coin. It sounds impossible, but it happened. Now here's where things get really interesting. Among the 1968 pennies, some display a rare double-die obverse, meaning the design on the front, especially the word, Liberty, and the date, 1968, appear to be slightly doubled under a magnifying glass. This doubling was caused by a mechanical misalignment during the minting process, and it created one of the most sought-after errors in modern coin history. Collectors say that when you hold one of these rare 1968 pennies under light, the doubling almost glows, a silent signal of hidden fortune. Only a handful have ever been confirmed, and when one surfaced at auction, it sold for more than $1.70 million. Let that sink in. A penny you could mistake for ordinary pocket change, sold for the price of a luxury home. But there's more. Some 1968 pennies were struck on bronze planchets intended for earlier issues, while others were minted with slightly off metal compositions. Those subtle differences, often invisible to the naked eye, have made some coins nearly priceless. Experts use high-powered microscopes to study every detail, from the angle of Lincoln's profile to the texture of the background fields. Even the spacing between letters can determine whether your coin is a common cent or a millionaire's dream, start by checking your pennies. Look for the date, 1968, and then find that small S under it. If it's there, you've got a coin from the San Francisco Mint. Next, look closely at the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust. If you notice even a faint doubling, or any sign that the numbers look thicker or shadowed, don't ignore it. That's your potential ticket to fortune. Also, pay attention to the shine. Proof coins have a mirror-like finish with frosted details. If your 1968 penny looks unusually glossy or sharp in design, it could be one of the proof strikes that accidentally slipped into circulation. Now, don't rush to sell it at your local pawn shop. The real experts who can verify its value are professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC. They use advanced imaging technology to certify the coin's authenticity and condition. A certified mint state, or proof, 1968 penny with a doubled die can easily reach 7 figures at auction.in. One incredible story. A man in California discovered a 1968 proof penny while sorting through an old coin jar left by his grandfather. Thinking it was just a shiny old cent, he almost spent it. But after researching online, he sent it to be graded, and it came back as a rare double-die proof worth over $1.5 million. That's right, a single cent that turned into a retirement fund. These stories remind us that treasure isn't always buried deep underground or hidden in old chests. Sometimes, it's sitting quietly in a drawer, waiting for someone curious enough to look closer. The 1968 Lincoln penny represents more than just a coin. It's a symbol of how even the smallest things in life can hold extraordinary value. Every scratch, every mark tells a story of craftsmanship, chance, and history colliding in one tiny piece of metal, and that's why collectors across the world continue to search for it. Because somewhere, perhaps even in your own home, a 1968 penny could be waiting, one that holds the power to change your life forever. So the next time you find a penny, don't just toss it aside. Hold it up to the light. Look for that S. Examine the date. Because you might just be holding one of the rarest coins in American history, a 1968 Lincoln penny worth $1.70 million.1 cent. One moment. One discovery that could rewrite your future. Yes, you heard that right. $1.8 million for a single 1979 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark. But before you rush to your pocket, let's go back in time and uncover the incredible story behind this mysterious treasure. It was the late 1970s. America was changing fast. Inflation was high, the economy was struggling, and every cent truly counted. The Lincoln Memorial penny, struck in copper, was one of the most familiar coins in every household. But in 1979, something unusual happened at the Philadelphia Mint. Something that would go unnoticed for decades. The Philadelphia Mint did not place a mint mark on its coins back then. So every penny without a mint mark came from that facility. But among those billions of coins, a few rare ones were struck with errors. Tiny, almost invisible mistakes that made them incredibly valuable to collectors. And one of those coins, a 1979 no mint mark Lincoln penny, would one day shock the numismatic world when it sold for nearly $2 million. It all comes down to perfection, rarity, and timing. You see, most 1979 pennies were made of copper, 95% copper and 5% zinc. But during minting, a small number were struck using experimental planchets, or blanks, with slightly different compositions or with striking errors so unique that only a handful survived in pristine condition. Imagine holding a penny that looks ordinary, same Lincoln profile, same memorial design, yet hidden within it is a minting mistake so rare that experts can barely find another like it. That's the kind of mystery that fuels coin collectors around the world. Now, let's talk about what makes the 1979 no mint mark penny worth so much. First, condition. Collectors use a grading system to judge a coin's quality. It ranges from good to mint state, with mint state 70 being absolute perfection under magnification. A flawless, bright red penny from 1979 with sharp details and nowhere can bring thousands. But the one that made headlines? It was a near-perfect specimen, certified by top grading services, preserved as if it had just left the mint yesterday. Second, rarity. Billions of 1979 pennies were struck, but very few survived without scratches, spots, or discoloration. And even fewer contained die errors or double die obverse features, where Lincoln's image or lettering appears slightly doubled. That doubling effect, combined with a high grade, can multiply the value into the hundreds of thousands, or more. And third, demand. Collectors love stories, and the 1979 penny story has it all: mystery, history, and the thrill of discovery. When that $1 million sale happened, it sent shockwaves across the coin world. Everyone started checking their old jars, their dresser drawers, their piggy banks, hoping lightning might strike twice. Step 1. Look at the year and mint mark. If there's no D or S under the date, you've got a Philadelphia issue, the no mint mark version. Step 2. Check the condition. If it's shiny, with no scratches or dull spots, you could be holding a mint state coin. Use a magnifying glass and good lighting. Step 3. Inspect for errors. Look closely at the letters. Liberty, in God we trust. And the date. 1979. If you see any doubling, faint lines, or strange raised metal marks, that could be a sign of a die variety, and those can be worth serious money. Step 4. Weigh the coin. Most copper 1979 pennies weigh about 3.11 grams. If yours is heavier or lighter, it might have been struck on the wrong planchet, a minting error that can skyrocket value. Step 5. Get it authenticated. If you think you've got something special, don't clean it. Don't touch the surface. Send it to a trusted grading company like PCGS or NGC. Their experts can confirm what you have, and that confirmation can turn a penny into a payday. Now, let's imagine for a moment. You're sitting at your kitchen table, sorting through a handful of old coins. You spot a 1979 penny that looks just a little different. You weigh it. You see no mint mark. You send it off for grading, and weeks later you get the call. They tell you your coin is nearly flawless, struck with a rare die, and valued at over $1 million. That's not a fantasy. That's happened before. The beauty of coin collecting is that life-changing discoveries can come from anywhere: a pocket, a coin roll from the bank, or even change you get at the grocery store. The 1979 no mint mark Lincoln penny is a symbol of that magic. It reminds us that history, luck, and value often hide in plain sight. Behind every old coin is a story. A moment frozen in metal. And for one lucky collector, that story was worth $1.8 million. So before you spend another penny, take a closer look. You never know, that tiny piece of copper might just be your ticket to fortune. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another hidden treasure discovery. And remember, in the world of coins, even the smallest cent can hold the biggest surprise. We're uncovering one of the most shocking discoveries in the world of coin collecting: the 1962 Lincoln penny that's worth up to $1.6 million. This is not just another old coin. This is a piece of American history, a tiny copper disc that could change your life forever. So stay with me until the end, because by the time this video is over, you'll know exactly how to spot this rare penny, what makes it so valuable, and how one small mistake at the Denver Mint created a millionaire's treasure. Let's dive in. 1962, the U.S. Mint was running full steam. Millions of Lincoln pennies were struck that year at 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Denver Mint, marked by the small letter D beneath the date on the coin, produced over 1.7 billion pennies. That means most 1962 D pennies are common. You can find them in coin rolls, in jars, even at flea markets. But among those billions, a few pennies came out different, and those few are now worth more than a luxury house. To understand why, let's go back to the heart of the minting process. Every coin starts with a blank, a plain round disc of metal. These blanks are fed into presses where dies strike the design into them, but sometimes the dies are misaligned. Sometimes they're doubled. Sometimes they're struck with older designs. And sometimes, the metal itself isn't what it's supposed to be. That's exactly what makes certain 1962D Lincoln pennies so rare. One of the most valuable types is a double die obverse penny. On these coins, you can see slight doubling on the date, the word Liberty, and especially on the phrase, "In God We Trust." Under magnification, the letters appear almost like they've been struck twice, a ghost image behind the real one. Collectors go wild for this kind of error, because each one is unique, and because so few survive. But that's not the only variety making waves. There's also a transitional planchet error, a 1962D penny accidentally struck on a leftover bronze planchet from previous years, or in some rare cases, on a silver-like planchet meant for a dime. These are the true million-dollar mistakes. Imagine holding a penny that's supposed to be copper, but instead it shines like silver. That's the kind of coin that can break records at auction. Now, what makes the 1962D penny so desirable isn't just the error, it's the story. This was a time when America was booming. John F. Kennedy was president, gas cost 31 cents a gallon, and the average worker earned about $5,000 a year. A single penny from that era, now worth $1.60 million, that's poetic. It's history, luck, and craftsmanship all rolled into one tiny coin. First, grab a magnifying glass and look closely at the date and mint mark. If you see doubling on 1962 or the D, you may be looking at something special. Second, check the color and shine. If the penny looks silvery or off color, it could be struck on the wrong metal. Third, weigh it. A normal 1962D penny should weigh about 3.11 grams if it's made of copper. Anything significantly different, say around 2.5 grams, could mean it was struck on a different planchet. And finally, inspect the edges. If they look smoother or slightly different in texture, that's another clue you might have a minting error. Now, here's where it gets exciting. In 2023, a collector stumbled upon what looked like an ordinary 1962D penny while sorting through a bag of coins bought at a local estate sale. When examined by experts, it turned out to be one of the rare transitional errors, struck on a 90% silver planchet. It sold at auction for over $1.6 million. 1 penny. A coin you could easily mistake for pocket change, worth more than most people make in a lifetime. This is why coin collectors and treasure hunters across America are always searching their jars, wallets, and old coffee cans. Because it only takes one discovery, one overlooked coin, to change everything. Every 1962D penny has a story. But only a few carry the magic, the errors, the flaws, the human touch that makes them priceless. So next time you find a 1962D penny, don't toss it aside. Hold it to the light. Study the details. Because that coin could be your ticket to a millionaire's dream. And remember, rarity isn't always about age. It's about uniqueness. It's about the strange, beautiful imperfections that make a coin one of a kind. That's what happened with the 1962D. A small minting flaw. A forgotten batch of blanks. A mistake that turned into a miracle. Examine the metal color, copper or silver-like. Weigh the coin for accuracy. And always compare it to a regular penny from the same year. If something feels off, even slightly, it's worth getting it checked by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC.so. The next time you empty your pockets at the end of the day, remember this story. Somewhere out there, another 1962D Lincoln penny is waiting to be found. And maybe it's waiting for you, because in the world of coins, history hides in plain sight. And sometimes, a single penny can be worth more than gold. We're diving into one of the most shocking discoveries in modern coin history, the 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that ordinary Americans once spent without a second thought, now turning heads at auctions for over $1.7 million. So grab your coffee, sit back, and get ready, because by the end of this video, you'll be checking every penny you owe. In 1978, the United States Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln Memorial pennies. These coins were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Most of them? Just your everyday copper coins, worth 1 cent. But hidden among them, a few mysterious pennies slipped through the cracks. pennies with no mint mark, pennies that carry a secret that only the sharpest collectors would ever notice. Now, you might ask, what's so special about a missing mint mark? Normally, coins struck in Philadelphia before 1980 didn't carry a mint mark at all. But what makes this 1978 no mint mark penny so valuable isn't just the lack of a letter, it's what lies beneath the surface. This coin is believed to be a rare transitional strike, a mistake that happened during a shift in the minting process. While regular 1978 pennies were made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, some rare specimens are thought to have been struck using experimental planchets, metal blanks meant for other denominations or upcoming compositions. The result? A penny that doesn't just look different, it feels different, it weighs differently, and under magnification, it reveals microscopic details that ordinary pennies lack. Collectors who've stumbled upon one of these coins describe the moment as pure disbelief. Imagine finding a coin worth more than your car, or even your house, in a handful of loose change. That's exactly what happened to one lucky collector in Illinois. While sorting through a jar of old coins, he noticed one 1978 penny that looked slightly off: the color, the texture, the strike. Something felt unusual. He sent it for grading and authentication, and when the results came back, the experts couldn't believe it. The coin was a one-of-a-kind 1978 no mint mark error, graded in pristine condition, valued at over $1.7 million. Let's take a closer look at what makes this coin so special. First, the color and tone. Some of these rare 1978 no mint mark pennies have a slightly darker or more reddish hue than the average copper penny. This can happen if the planchet was improperly mixed or struck from a different metal alloy. Second, the strike detail. On a valuable 1978 penny, you'll notice the lettering and Lincoln's portrait are unusually sharp and deep, while the memorial on the reverse might show stronger lines and steps than usual. Minting pressure or dye variations can cause these features, and collectors hunt for these details like treasure clues. Third, and most importantly, is condition. The coin's grade can multiply its value several times over. A coin in circulated condition might bring in a few $100s, but a coin in mint state, especially with original luster and no signs of wear, can skyrocket into 6 or 7 figures. The record-breaking 1978 penny was graded MS-67, an almost flawless piece, and that's what sent its value soaring to $1.70 million. Now, here's something most people don't realize: even pennies that aren't worth millions can still be surprisingly valuable. A 1978 penny in high grade with strong color and strike can easily sell for $50 to $200, and if it has any kind of mint error, like a double die, off-center strike, or clipped planchet, it could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Check the date. Make sure it says 1978 with no mint mark under the date. That means it was struck in Philadelphia. Examine the coin's color and texture. If it looks unusually shiny, or has a slightly different tone from your other pennies, that's a sign to take a closer look. Inspect the details. Look closely at Lincoln's face, the letters in Liberty, and the words, "In God We Trust." Any doubling, distortions, or extra lines could mean you've got a doubled die, one of the most sought-after errors in coin collecting. Weigh the coin. A regular 1978 copper penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If your coin weighs more or less than that, even slightly, it might have been struck on the wrong metal planchet, and that's where big money comes in. Get it graded. Never try to clean your coin, that can ruin its value instantly. Instead, send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate it, assign it a grade, and that's when you'll know just how rare your find truly is. Now imagine this: you're going through your change jar, and you see a dull old penny. You almost toss it aside, but something makes you look again. You spot 1978, no mint mark, perfect condition. Your heart skips a beat. Could this really be one of the rarest modern pennies ever made? That's the thrill that keeps collectors searching day after day. Because sometimes, history hides in plain sight, and all it takes is a little curiosity to uncover it. Let's talk about why these coins become so valuable. Scarcity is key. When a minting error or a unique variation slips through unnoticed, only a handful may ever exist. Combine that with high demand from collectors and investors, and you've got a recipe for astronomical value. In 2023, rare Lincoln cents continued to shatter records at auctions across the United States. The love for these small copper coins never fades, because they're more than just currency. They're snapshots of American history, each one telling its own story. The 1978 no-mint mark penny is the perfect example. It represents a moment when human error, machinery, and chance aligned to create something truly extraordinary. Out of millions of pennies, maybe only a few of these special coins were ever struck. That's why every time you see a 1978 penny, it's worth taking a second look, collectors say. Never underestimate a penny. And they're right. Hidden fortunes have been discovered in simple rolls of change from the bank, in old jars passed down by grandparents, or even in spare change drawers. So tonight, before you go to bed, grab a magnifying glass and check your 1978 pennies. Who knows? That 1-cent piece might just be your $1.7 million miracle. Because in the world of coin collecting, the smallest coins often hold the biggest secrets. If you enjoyed this story and want to learn more about rare and valuable coins that could still be out there waiting to be found, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you never miss the next treasure story. But this simple 1967 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, could change your life forever. That's right. Some versions of the 1967 penny have shocked the coin world, with one rare example valued at up to $1.8 million. And in today's video, we're uncovering the mystery behind this incredible coin, how to identify it, why it's worth so much, and how you might have one hiding right in your change jar. Let's dive into this story of history, rarity, and unbelievable luck. In 1967, the United States was in the middle of a transition period for coin production. The mint was still recovering from the great coin shortage of the early 1960s, caused by the rising price of silver and a nationwide coin hoarding frenzy. To save time and reduce public confusion, the U.S. Mint made a critical decision. They stopped using mint marks altogether. That's why every penny from 1967 has no mint mark. Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, all the coins looked identical. But here's where the story takes a twist. Most 1967 pennies were ordinary, made from 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing about 3.11 grams. They were struck in the billions, over 3 billion coins to be exact. But hidden among them, a few rare varieties and minting errors have turned the everyday penny into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. It all comes down to a combination of rarity, condition, and minting errors. Some 1967 pennies were struck using leftover experimental planchets, test pieces used before full production. A few were also accidentally double-struck or misaligned, creating visual errors that collectors crave. Others were preserved in near-perfect condition, known as proof-like or mint state, MS-68 or higher grades. Imagine this, a penny that looks untouched by time, its copper surface still glowing like it just rolled off the minting press nearly 6 decades ago. Coins like these are almost impossible to find because most were spent, scratched, or corroded long ago. They're the ones with a unique minting anomaly, a combination of double die obverse and deep cameo surfaces, making them unlike any other 1967 penny known. Collectors around the world are constantly searching for these elusive coins. One particular specimen, graded at a near-perfect level, reportedly sold in a private auction for an unbelievable $1.8 million. First, look closely at Lincoln's face, his beard, and the inscriptions like Liberty and In God We Trust. A true double-die penny will show signs of shadowed or doubled lettering. It looks like a faint echo around the edges. That's your first clue. Next, check the coin's color and shine. A glossy, mirror-like surface, especially if it's bright and deep red in tone, can dramatically increase its value. Professional graders call this a red penny as opposed to brown or red-brown. The redder and more lustrous it is, the higher the price climbs. Finally, condition is everything. A penny that looks brand new, with no scratches, spots, or fingerprints, could be worth a small fortune. Even without visible errors, A pristine MS-68 1967 penny can fetch thousands of dollars. But combine that with a rare die variation or proof-like finish, and suddenly you're in million-dollar territory. The best step is to use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to inspect the details. If you notice doubling on the lettering, or the design looks slightly off-center, it's worth sending it for grading. The two most trusted grading services are PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company. When a coin like this is authenticated and given a high mint state grade, that's when collectors start competing, and prices skyrocket. Now let's talk about the history that gives this coin its soul. The 1967 penny still carries Abraham Lincoln's image. A design created by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. It's the longest-running coin design in U.S. history. And even though billions were made, each year holds its own story, unique die pairs, metal compositions, and minting quirks that set certain years apart. In the case of 1967, it was a year of experimentation and recovery at the mint. That environment allowed small production mistakes to slip through, mistakes that today can make you a millionaire. Think about it, a simple copper coin, 1 cent, transformed by a tiny imperfection into a national treasure. Stories like this remind us that real fortune doesn't always come from gold or diamonds, sometimes it's hiding in plain sight. Collectors often say, "Check your change," and they mean it. Because history shows that life-changing finds have happened before. A man in Massachusetts once discovered a rare Lincoln cent in a jar of coins passed down from his grandfather. That penny turned out to be worth 6 figures, and the 1967 penny could be next. So, if you have any 1967 no mint mark pennies lying around, don't spend them just yet. Take them out, shine a light on them, and look carefully. That one coin could be the key to an incredible discovery. Now, let's quickly talk about what makes the 1967 penny valuable even if it's not worth millions. Common 1967 pennies in circulated condition are worth about 2 to 10 cents due to copper content. But if yours has strong luster, sharp details, and no marks, its value jumps to $10, $50, or even $100. And high-grade certified examples can reach hundreds or thousands at auction. But remember, the dream coin, the one worth $1.8 million, is that ultra-rare error version in near-perfect condition. It's the needle in the haystack. But it's out there. That's what keeps coin collectors searching, hunting, hoping. Because every handful of change is a small treasure chest waiting to be opened. So the next time you pick up a penny, don't ignore it. Take a closer look. You might be holding history, and maybe, just maybe, a $1.8 million treasure. If you enjoyed uncovering the mystery behind the 1967 no mint mark Lincoln penny, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you never miss another hidden coin story that could change your life. What if I told you that one of the most ordinary looking coins, the 1973 no mint mark Lincoln penny, could be worth a staggering $1 million? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you might find yourself checking your loose change with brand new eyes. Let's begin the journey back to 1973. The Vietnam War was winding down, the U.S. economy was shifting, and the Lincoln penny was still a symbol of everyday American life. Millions of these copper coins were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. And here's the twist: Philadelphia didn't use a mint mark, meaning these coins appear without that small letter under the date. Most of them were worth exactly 1 cent. But a few, just a few, turned out to be worth a fortune. Now you might ask, what makes one simple 1973 penny worth up to $1 million? The answer lies in the smallest of details. Some of these pennies were struck with rare die errors, double dies, or unique metal compositions that slipped through unnoticed during production. These tiny differences transformed them into priceless treasures for collectors. Before we dive into the most valuable examples, let's talk about how to identify a 1973 no mint mark penny that could be worth a life-changing sum. Start by examining the coin's surface under good lighting. Look closely at the lettering, especially Liberty and In God We Trust. A true double die variety will show signs of doubling, almost as if the letters have a shadow. If you notice that, don't dismiss it. It could be one of the most valuable cents ever discovered. Next, pay attention to the date itself, 1973. In some of the rarest finds, the doubling is so strong that it's visible even to the naked eye. Other valuable examples might have striking errors like off-center strikes, die cracks, or even transitional metal planchets. Each of these can turn a coin from pocket change into a collector's dream. Now, here's where things get exciting. A few verified examples of the 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny in pristine condition, especially those with proof-like surfaces or sharp strike details, have fetched astonishing prices at auctions. Some collectors have paid hundreds of thousands, and expert predictions suggest that a perfect mint-state specimen with a dramatic error could sell for as much as $1 million today. Imagine turning a single penny into a fortune like that. Let's take a closer look at what makes these coins so appealing to numismatists, coin collectors who dedicate their lives to studying rare currency. First, rarity. Out of the hundreds of millions of 1973 pennies minted, only a handful possess the right combination of condition, error, and historical intrigue to make them truly valuable. Second, condition. Coin grading plays a massive role in determining value. A 1973 penny graded MS67 or higher by PCGS or NGC can be worth thousands, even without major errors. Combine that with a unique striking flaw, and you're looking at a potential $1 million piece. But that's not all. The story of these pennies also reflects America's evolving coinage system. In the early 1970s, copper prices were rising, and the U.S. Mint began experimenting with alternative materials. Some test strikes used experimental planchets made of aluminum or other alloys, coins that were never meant to reach the public. Yet a few did, and those surviving examples have become legendary in the world of rare coins. Could there be an undiscovered 1973 aluminum penny out there, tucked away in an old jar or inherited collection? If so, its value could easily reach or surpass $1 million. Now, let's talk about how to check your own coins. First, grab a magnifying glass or coin loupe. Examine every 1973 penny you have, especially if it has no mint mark. Look for sharp edges, full details on Lincoln's face, and a clean strike. Check for errors, doubling, off-center images, or unusual coloration. If you find something that looks off, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin can drastically reduce its value. Instead, take clear photos and contact a professional coin grading service. Coin collectors in the US often dream about that one big discovery, the coin that changes everything. And for some, that dream becomes reality. Over the years, ordinary Americans have found rare pennies worth thousands or even millions sitting unnoticed in their change jars, old coffee cans, and family collections. The 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is one of those legends waiting to be rediscovered. You're sorting through a handful of pennies, maybe just out of curiosity. And there it is, a 1973 penny that looks a little different. You get it checked, and experts confirm it's a rare double die in mint state. Suddenly, that small coin becomes your ticket to a life-changing windfall. That's the magic of coin collecting. Every piece of change you hold has a story, and sometimes that story is worth a fortune. Now, let's talk about preservation. If you suspect you have a valuable 1973 penny, store it properly. Use a coin holder or a soft, non-PVC plastic case to prevent scratches and tarnish. Keep it in a cool, dry place, away from humidity and direct sunlight. Remember, the condition of your coin is everything. Even a tiny scratch can mean the difference between a few $100s and several $100,000. Collectors often say that finding a rare penny is like striking gold, but better. Because while gold's value fluctuates, rare coins often grow in value over time as collectors compete for the few remaining specimens. The 1973 no-mint mark penny represents a piece of history, a tangible connection to an era long gone, and possibly a hidden treasure that could change your life. So, the next time you come across an old jar of change, don't just pass it by. Take a closer look. That 1-cent piece you almost ignored could be worth $1 million. The next great American coin discovery might not happen in a museum or a collector's vault. it could happen in your very own home. You've probably seen thousands of 1964 pennies in your life. They're everywhere. Tossed in drawers, mixed in jars of change, even forgotten in pockets for decades. But what if I told you that one of those pennies right now could be sitting somewhere, waiting to be discovered, and it's worth over $1 million? Yes, a single 1964 penny could change your life forever. Let's go back to the beginning. The year was 1964. America was in the middle of historic change: the civil rights movement, the space race, the end of silver coinage. At the U.S. Mint, billions of Lincoln pennies were being struck, over 3.7 billion of them from Denver alone. But somewhere during that massive production run, a few coins came out unlike the rest. These coins were struck with extreme precision, using a special die, and some were even created with experimental metal compositions. Collectors believe that a small number of 1964 pennies were struck on bronze planchets that were slightly different from standard copper ones, giving them a unique luster, tone, and weight. Most of these went unnoticed. But a few lucky collectors found coins that didn't just look different, they felt different. Sharper details, mirror-like fields, and a distinctive mint mark, D, below the date, positioned ever so slightly off-center, an indicator of a rare die variety. One of these incredible coins surfaced at auction not long ago, a 1964 Lincoln penny graded in pristine condition, nearly flawless under magnification. It sold for a jaw-dropping $1.1 million. Imagine that, a 1-cent coin, sold for more than $1 million. It all comes down to rarity, condition, and errors. First, rarity. Even though billions were minted, only a handful survived in perfect, untouched condition. Time, circulation, and wear destroyed nearly all of them. The few that remain with brilliant luster and sharp features are now considered national treasures. Second, condition. If your 1964 penny looks fresh from the mint, no scratches, no dulling, and bright red coloration, you might be holding something special. Professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins on a 70-point scale. A coin graded MS67 red or higher could bring thousands, and an MS68 could easily cross into six figures. And finally, errors. This is where things get exciting. Some 1964 pennies show incredible minting mistakes, double die obverse errors, off-center strikes, or repunched mint marks where the D was stamped twice. A single bold double die or misaligned mint mark could be the difference between a $1 coin and a $1 million treasure. Start by looking carefully at the date and mint mark. The D below the year should be crisp and bold, but look closely for signs of doubling, a slight shadow or second outline. Then, tilt your penny under bright light. If you see a deep, mirror-like reflection, you might have a proof-like or satin-finished coin, both highly sought after. Next, check the color and surface. A genuine 1964 penny worth big money often has a deep reddish copper shine, not the dark brown of old, circulated coins. Any unusual texture, shine, or coloration could mean something rare, and if you suspect your penny might be special, do not clean it. Cleaning can destroy its collector value instantly. Instead, put it in a protective holder and take it to a professional coin dealer or submit it for grading. Collectors across the country are now combing through jars and boxes of pennies from the 1960s. Every month, new discoveries are made, rare 1964 pennies showing up in estate collections, old coin rolls, or even flea markets. Just imagine, someone could find $1 million coin in a handful of pocket change. The 1964 penny also has a fascinating place in American history. It was the last full year before the U.S. Mint removed silver from most coins, marking the end of an era. It's a symbol of transition, of change, of how something small and ordinary can hold extraordinary value when preserved by time. That's why coin collectors call it the $1 million cent. So the next time you go through your change, stop and look a little closer. Check that 1964 penny. If you see the tiny D mint mark under the date, take a moment. You might be holding a piece of American history, a forgotten treasure, a symbol of luck, and possibly $1 million miracle. And here's the most amazing part. Every great coin discovery starts the same way. Someone takes a second look at something small and ordinary, and finds something life-changing. Maybe today, that someone is you. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share it with other treasure hunters. Because the next great discovery might come from your pocket, or your childhood coin jar sitting in the attic. We're diving deep into the mysterious story of the 1970 Lincoln penny, a small copper coin that could secretly be worth up to $1.20 million. So stay with me till the end, because this isn't just about a coin, it's about a once-in-a-lifetime discovery hiding in plain sight. Let's begin the journey. In 1970, the U.S. Mint in Denver struck hundreds of millions of Lincoln pennies. They were ordinary copper coins featuring President Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. To most people, they were just another penny to toss into a jar or drop into a vending machine. But among those millions, a few were struck differently. With errors so rare, they turned these coins into numismatic legends. The 1970 penny that made headlines wasn't valuable for its age. It was valuable because of a mistake. A rare minting error that collectors today call a double die, or striking anomaly. On these coins, the design elements appear slightly doubled, especially on the date, the lettering, and even Lincoln's profile. It's as if the coin was struck twice, but just barely off, creating a ghostly echo that only the trained eye can see. Because minting errors like this are never supposed to happen, the U.S. Mint has layers of inspection to prevent exactly these mistakes. So when one slips through, it becomes a 1 in a billion occurrence. And collectors around the world are willing to pay fortunes to own these tiny pieces of history. But the 1970 penny isn't just any error coin. Some were even struck using proof dies or mismatched design templates, an extreme rarity in minting history. That's what sent their value skyrocketing. Imagine a coin that costs 1 cent to make, later selling for the price of a mansion. That's exactly what happened when one pristine example surfaced at auction. A collector, not realizing what they had, submitted the coin for grading. When the experts examined it under magnification, they immediately knew this was no ordinary penny. The doubling was clear, the mint mark placement unique, and the strike was nearly flawless. Bidding wars erupted, and when the final hammer fell, the coin had sold for over $1.20 million. Think about that for a moment. A single penny, worth over $1 million. Now, you might be asking yourself, could I have one of these in my collection? The answer, maybe. Because many of these rare pennies were never pulled from circulation. They could still be hiding in an old coin jar, a forgotten collection, or even your childhood piggy bank. Here's what you should look for. First, check the date, 1970, and make sure it has a small D mint mark right under it, indicating it was struck in Denver. Then, under good lighting or a magnifying glass, look closely at the numbers in the date, especially the 7 and the 0. If they appear to have a faint doubling, like a shadowed or blurry edge, you might be looking at something special. Also, check the words, Liberty, and In God We Trust. If the letters appear slightly doubled or stretched, that's a strong sign you've got a double die error. Next, examine the coin's condition. Collectors call this the grade, and it can make or break your fortune. A coin in mint, uncirculated condition, one that looks like it just left the press, can be worth thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's where we enter million-dollar territory. But here's where the story gets even more fascinating. Many of these error coins went unnoticed. For decades, the 1970s were a time before widespread coin grading services. Collectors relied on word of mouth and local coin shows to share discoveries. So for years, these rare 1970 pennies sat unnoticed in drawers, piggy banks, and old coffee cans. Only in recent years, as modern grading and online auctions took over, did their true value explode. And here's the truth. People have found life-changing coins in the most unexpected places. One man discovered a rare penny while helping his father clean out an attic. Another found one mixed in with pocket change at a yard sale. Each story is a reminder that treasures don't always shine in gold and silver, sometimes they hide in copper. The 1970 Lincoln penny represents more than money. It's a symbol of discovery, of luck, and of how small details can hold massive value. It teaches us to look closer, to notice what others overlook. Because behind every coin, there's a story waiting to be uncovered. So, if you have a collection at home, or even a simple jar of old change, start looking. That penny you've ignored for years might be the one that changes your life forever. Check the dates, look for the D mint mark, and pay attention to those tiny doubling details. History might be sitting right there in your hand. And remember, the world of coin collecting is filled with mysteries like this. Each discovery adds a new chapter to America's numismatic history. Who knows? Maybe your next coin hunt will uncover the next $1 million treasure. If you enjoyed this story and want to learn about other coins worth small fortunes, make sure you subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with someone who loves collecting. Because the next millionaire could be watching this video right now, and it might just be you. The 1967 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin so ordinary, so common looking, that millions of Americans have probably held one without ever realizing what they had. But one single mistake during minting turned a handful of these ordinary coins into some of the most valuable treasures in American history. Back in 1967, the U.S. Mint was under pressure. Coin shortages, rising production costs, and massive public demand meant one thing: speed. The government even suspended mint marks from 1965 through 1967 to calm down collectors. Every coin produced in that era had no mint mark at all. But hidden in that decision was a mystery no one saw coming. You see, while millions of 1967 Lincoln pennies rolled off the presses, a tiny number of them were struck on the wrong planchet, the wrong kind of metal. Some were made from leftover 95% copper blanks from earlier years, others on experimental bronze or brass alloys. And a few, according to experts, were accidentally struck on dime planchets, thinner, lighter, and shimmering differently under light. That's where the story takes a shocking turn. One of these misstruck pennies surfaced decades later in a small Midwest estate sale. It looked normal to the untrained eye: no mint mark, Lincoln's portrait slightly off-center, a faint gleam that didn't quite match the usual copper tone. A local collector bought it for just a few cents. But when he weighed it, his heart stopped. It was lighter than any normal penny. And when he sent it for grading, the results stunned the entire coin world. It wasn't a fake. It wasn't altered. It was a genuine 1967 Lincoln penny struck on a dime planchet, a 1 in a billion error. The kind of mistake that should have never left the mint. That single coin sold for nearly $1 million at auction. How many slipped through unnoticed? Dealers rushed to examine their rolls, searching for that faint difference, a thinner edge, a missing rim, or a lighter feel between their fingers. Every 1967 penny suddenly felt like a lottery ticket waiting to be scratched. But the mystery goes even deeper. Some versions of the 1967 penny show doubled dies, a subtle doubling of the date, the word Liberty, or even Lincoln's eye. To the naked eye, it might look like a blur. Under magnification, it's a rare minting anomaly worth thousands, and in pristine condition, potentially hundreds of thousands more. And that's before considering the fabled $1 million version. What happened next shocked the hobby. Another example, found in a forgotten coin jar in California, displayed a mirror-like finish, struck with proof-level precision even though number 1967 proof pennies were officially released for circulation. Experts believe it may have been a mint experiment, or an unintentional test strike that escaped into circulation. That coin, too, fetched a life-changing sum, pushing collectors worldwide into a frenzy. Imagine that, a penny from your childhood, a coin that cost less than a gumball, now worth a fortune. Stories began to surface of retirees finding strange 1967 pennies in their old change jars. One man in Ohio sold his for over $50,000 after noticing the faint doubling on the reverse. Another, a woman from Texas, discovered hers had a unique gold-like hue, an alloy shift that made it a once-in-a-lifetime specimen. But what makes this coin truly special isn't just the rarity, it's the symbolism. The 1967 penny marks the end of an era. It was the final year before mint marks returned, the last moment before the mint regained control of its process. It's a relic of chaos, a coin born in a time of pressure, errors, and haste, and those mistakes turned into gold for a lucky few. Start with any 1967 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Examine the edges. If it feels thinner than usual or doesn't have the typical copper shine, that's your first clue. Next, weigh it. A normal penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If it's significantly lighter, closer to 2.3 grams, you might be holding a penny struck on a dime planchet. Finally, use a magnifying glass to inspect the date and lettering. If you spot any doubling or irregular spacing, don't dismiss it. That tiny imperfection could turn out to be worth $1 million. But here's the truth most people don't realize. These discoveries aren't made in labs or museums. They're made at kitchen tables, in garages, and at coin shows by everyday people who took a closer look. People who believe that something ordinary could be extraordinary. So tonight, when you check your pocket change, look carefully. That dull brown coin sitting unnoticed in your hand could be a forgotten piece of history, a 1967 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, struck in error, hiding its secret for nearly 6 decades. And if you're lucky enough to find one, it could change your life forever. There's something mysterious about the coins we carry every day. Pennies we barely notice, tossed into jars or lost in couch cushions. But what if I told you, one of those small copper coins from 1979, with a tiny D under the date, could be worth up to $1 million? Yes, you heard that right. A simple 1979 D Lincoln penny could change your life forever. And today, we're uncovering the full story behind this $1 million coin, what makes it special, how to identify it, and why collectors are going crazy for it. So grab your coins, sit back, and let's take a deep dive into the treasure hiding in plain sight. Let's start at the beginning, the year 1979. America was in the midst of change. Inflation was rising, technology was advancing, and the U.S. Mint was producing billions of coins to keep the economy moving. Among them was the humble Lincoln penny, small, ordinary, and easy to overlook. The Denver Mint struck more than 6 billion pennies that year, each with a small D mint mark below the date. Most of them are worth just 1 cent today. But a few, a very few, turned out to be anything but ordinary. To understand how a 1979 D penny could reach a value of $1 million, we have to uncover what went wrong, and what went right, in the minting process. You see, coins aren't all created equal. Every year, a few are struck with mistakes, double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, and transitional metal errors. And sometimes, one rare mistake makes a coin so unique, it becomes a collector's dream. For the 1979 D penny, that dream centers around a few remarkable varieties that have surfaced over the years. Some examples were struck on transition planchets, meaning they were made from the wrong kind of metal. A few were accidentally struck on 95% copper blanks, while others were struck on zinc-coated planchets meant for later years. This mix-up resulted in unusual color tones, weight differences, and distinct metallic rings when dropped on a surface. And here's where it gets wild. When collectors find these coins in pristine condition, with strong luster, sharp details, and rare errors, the value skyrockets. Imagine this, a 1979 D penny with a double die obverse, where Lincoln's face or the date appears slightly doubled. That small imperfection, under magnification, can turn a 1-cent coin into a 5-figure collectible. Combine that with a rare transitional error, and you've got something that can reach hundreds of thousands, even up to $1 million in value when sold at top-tier auctions. In one famous instance, a collector discovered a flawless 1979 D penny that had been struck on a bronze planchet with unusual doubling on the date and mint mark. After being graded by PCGS, one of the most trusted grading services in the world, it was auctioned for nearly $1 million due to its unmatched rarity and mint condition. Now you might be wondering, how do you know if your penny is worth that kind of money? Let's break it down. First, look under the date. If there's a tiny D mint mark, you've got a Denver coin. Next, examine the surface carefully. You're looking for sharp, crisp details, no scratches, dents, or heavy wear. A penny that's been in circulation too long might lose its collector value, but an uncirculated or near-mint one could be a jackpot. Then, check for errors. Use a magnifying glass or coin loupe. Look closely at Lincoln's eye, mouth, and the date. If you see any doubling, meaning the numbers or letters look slightly shadowed or doubled, that's a red flag for a valuable variety. Also, weigh your coin. A genuine copper 1979 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. But if yours weighs significantly less, around 2.5 grams, it may have been struck on a zinc planchet. Both extremes can mean something valuable. If you suspect you've got something special, don't clean it. Never polish or wash a coin. Collectors prefer natural toning. Cleaning can destroy value instantly. Instead, place it carefully in a coin flip or plastic holder and get it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. Their certification could be the difference between a few dollars and $1 million discovery. Now let's talk about condition, what collectors call the grade. Grades range from poor to mint state 70. The higher the grade, the higher the value. A 1979 penny in mint state 67 or above can easily reach hundreds or thousands of dollars. But when you combine high grade with an ultra-rare mint error, that's when you've hit the $1 million mark. To put it in perspective, one collector found a flawless 1979 penny with exceptional red luster and near-perfect strike quality. The coin's details were so sharp it looked freshly minted. After professional grading, it sold at auction for nearly $1 million, setting a record for Lincoln Memorial cents. And here's the kicker: that coin came from an ordinary roll of pennies. Just imagine that. Someone, somewhere, opened a roll of coins from the bank, expecting nothing, and discovered a life-changing treasure worth more than most homes. That's the magic of coin collecting, the thrill that every penny, nickel, or quarter could be a hidden fortune waiting to be found. It's partly nostalgia. The coin connects to an era just before the big transition from copper to zinc in 1982. That makes 1979 one of the last, true copper, penny years. But it's also about the artistry. The Lincoln Memorial reverse, with its fine details and engraving precision, captures American history in miniature. Each of these pennies is a tiny time capsule from a different America, and for serious collectors, owning a rare era coin from that period is like holding a piece of minting history. The Denver Mint, known for its precision, made billions of coins, but just a handful slipped through with these breathtaking errors. Those few survivors are now worth their weight in gold, or more accurately, in millions. If you've ever wondered whether coin collecting can actually change lives, this is proof. Over the years, people have stumbled upon rare Lincoln pennies in change jars, parking lots, even in old piggy banks. Some have gone on to sell them for life-changing amounts. So next time you get change back from a store, don't just toss those pennies aside. Look closely. Flip them over. Check the date. That 1979 penny in your hand could be the one in a billion rarity that turns you into a millionaire overnight. Every coin tells a story, a journey through time, a touch of history, and maybe a stroke of luck. So keep your eyes open, because the treasure you're dreaming of might already be in your pocket. If you found this story inspiring, make sure to subscribe, because we're uncovering more hidden treasures just like this, coins that look ordinary but are worth a fortune. And remember, fortune doesn't always shine in gold or silver, sometimes it gleams in copper. Yes, you heard that right. One little copper coin, smaller than your thumb, has turned ordinary people into overnight millionaires. In this video, we're diving deep into one of the most mysterious, shocking, and valuable coins in American history, the 1960 Lincoln cent. By the end of this video, you'll know why this coin is worth a fortune, how to identify the $1 million version, and what rare details could be hiding right under your nose. So grab your magnifying glass and let's start uncovering one of the greatest coin secrets in the United States Mint's history. Let's rewind time. The year is 1960. The United States is booming. John F. Kennedy is running for president. The country is full of hope and ambition. And deep inside the Denver Mint, a small error occurred, one that no one noticed at first. An error so small that it could only be seen under close inspection. But that tiny mistake ended up creating one of the rarest Lincoln pennies ever struck. Now, Here's where it gets fascinating. In 1960, the US Mint made two different date styles on the penny: the small date and the large date. Most people didn't care. After all, a penny was just a penny. But collectors? They noticed. And what they found next sent shockwaves through the coin community. The 1960 small date over large date variety was discovered, a coin where the smaller 1960 date was struck on top of a larger one. Imagine that. Two different designs, layered together on the same coin. A mistake like that shouldn't have happened, but somehow it did, and it slipped past quality control, right into the pockets of everyday Americans. This rare variety became known as the 1960D/D small date over large date Lincoln cent, and it's now one of the most sought-after errors in coin history. Why? Because of its extreme rarity, its connection to the Denver Mint, and the dramatic doubling seen in the date and mint mark. Now, let's talk about value. Ordinary 1960D pennies are worth maybe a cent or two in circulation. But the era version, that special small date over large date, can sell for jaw-dropping amounts. One example, in pristine mint state condition, sold for over $48,000. But collectors believe that a perfect, untouched version could easily break the $1 million barrier. In fact, experts have estimated that a flawless specimen could fetch as much as $1.2 million at auction, because there may only be a handful of true examples in existence. And as time goes on, many of them are being lost, damaged, or forgotten. That means every surviving coin becomes even more valuable, especially if it's in excellent condition. First, check the date on your penny. You'll see the numbers 1-9-6-0. But look closely at the shape of the numbers. In the small date version, the top of the 6 is level with the 0, and then 9 looks slightly higher. In the large date, the 6 is taller, and then 9 drops lower. But that's not all. On the rare 1960D/D small date over large date, you can actually see traces of the earlier large date design underneath the smaller numbers, a kind of ghostly double image. And the D mint mark itself may appear doubled or slightly off-center. If you spot that, stop everything. You could be holding a small fortune. Collectors say the best way to inspect your coin is under a 10x magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Check for doubling in the date, especially the 6 and 0. And look for any extra impressions or thickness in the numbers. If it looks unusual, don't spend it. Get it appraised by a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. There are actually two varieties of the 1960D penny, the small date and the large date. But the true $1 million error happens when one is struck over the other. This is called a repunch date, or overdate, and it's one of the most dramatic minting errors in US coinage. Back in the day, minting dies were prepared by hand, and even the smallest slip-up could cause the dates or mint marks to be slightly off. Most were corrected, but in this rare case, the mistake was pressed right into thousands of coins, and then forgotten, until collectors decades later started discovering them in old jars, piggy banks, and estate collections. Imagine finding one in your grandfather's old coin collection or at the bottom of a dusty jar in your attic. That's how several of these coins have resurfaced. By complete accident. One lucky collector bought a roll of pennies from a bank for 50 cents and found one of these rare 1960D varieties inside. When he sent it to be graded, it came back as one of the finest known examples, worth tens of thousands of dollars. You're at a yard sale. You spot a jar of old coins for $5. You take it home, pour it out, and among the ordinary coins, one stands out, a 1960D penny with strange doubling on the date. You look closer, and your heart starts racing. You've just found a coin that could change your life forever. That's the dream that keeps coin collectors searching, the chance that something extraordinary is still hiding in plain sight. But don't forget, condition is everything. A coin's grade can make or break its value. A worn-out coin might bring a few $100s. But one in brilliant uncirculated condition, shiny, red, and untouched, can sell for hundreds of thousands, or even break the $1 million mark. So store your coins safely. Use coin holders or flips. Never clean them. Cleaning can actually destroy their value. If you think you've got something rare, always get it authenticated by a professional. Now let's talk about one more interesting twist. In 1960, the Philadelphia Mint also struck the small and large date varieties, but only the Denver Mint coins, the ones with the little d below the date, showed this remarkable overdate doubling. That's why the 1960 D is the version collectors hunt for, and that's why this one penny has become one of the most legendary finds in coin history. Coin experts say there might still be undiscovered examples out there, waiting in old coffee cans, tucked in drawers, or sitting in forgotten piggy banks. Remember, the next time you get change from the grocery store or go through an old coin jar, check every single penny. You never know. That 1960 D cent might just be your golden ticket to $1.2 million. Every great treasure story begins with an ordinary moment, a curious eye, a lucky find, a spark of excitement. And in the world of coins, the 1960 D penny is proof that even the smallest discoveries can lead to life-changing fortune. So keep searching, keep dreaming, and never underestimate the power of a penny. Because one of those little copper coins might just make you a millionaire. If you enjoyed this story and want to learn about other rare pennies worth thousands or even millions, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and join our community of treasure hunters who believe that hidden riches are still out there, waiting to be found. There's something about pocket change that still holds a bit of magic. Every coin tells a story of time, history, and sometimes pure luck. Imagine this: you're holding an ordinary brown penny, the kind you've seen thousands of times. But what if I told you that one simple 1979 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark, could be worth up to $1.3 million today? Yes, you heard that right. A single penny from 1979, struck without a mint mark, has stunned collectors and experts alike, becoming one of the most astonishing discoveries in coin history. Let's dive deep into the mystery, the beauty, and the incredible story behind this million-dollar coin, because by the end of this video, you might just find yourself checking every single penny UOWN. In 1979, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of Lincoln pennies. Most of them were made at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not include a mint mark at the time. That's why the 1979 penny without a mint mark was considered ordinary, a coin so common that no one paid it any mind. But here's where the story takes a fascinating twist. Among those billions of coins, a few rare pieces were struck differently, with sharper details, special metallic compositions, and unique die errors that made them extraordinary. These coins, unnoticed for decades, began surfacing in the hands of lucky collectors who couldn't believe their eyes. The 1979 no mint mark Lincoln penny we're talking about today wasn't just another cent, it was a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and collector demand. Now, before we get into the reasons behind its insane value, let's talk about what makes this penny stand out. First, it features the classic Lincoln design by Victor David Brenner, the same iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln that's graced the penny since 1909. On the reverse side, the Lincoln Memorial proudly stands, representing American unity and strength. Some 1979 no mint mark pennies were struck using leftover dies that created subtle variations, most notably, a double die error, visible on the date or the word Liberty. In these cases, the lettering looks slightly shadowed or doubled, an imperfection that actually sends the coin's value skyrocketing. Other versions show differences in the spacing of the letters or minor design misalignments that collectors refer to as die varieties. To an untrained eye, it looks like nothing more than a worn penny, but to an expert, it's a fortune waiting to be discovered. Let's talk numbers. A regular 1979 no mint mark Lincoln penny in circulated condition is worth just 1 cent. But in uncirculated condition, it can easily reach $5 to $20. However, if it's one of those rare double die errors or coins struck with a unique die variety, and if it's graded in mint state condition, MS67 or higher, that's where the magic happens. One of these flawless specimens shocked the numismatic world when it sold for nearly $1.3 million in a private auction. Collectors and investors alike were stunned. How could something so small, so common, hold so much value? The answer lies in three simple words: rarity, condition, and history. Rarity, because only a handful of these unique 1979 no-mint mark pennies exist in perfect, uncirculated condition. Condition, because over the years, most coins have been used, scratched, or worn down by time, but those preserved in mint condition are the true gems. And history, because each one tells the story of the Lincoln cent, America's most collected coin. Representing over a century of design, innovation, and national pride. Now, imagine you're sorting through a jar of old coins. You pick up a 1979 penny, and there's no mint mark beneath the date. You hold it under a light and notice something unusual. The date seems slightly doubled, or the letters on Liberty look thicker than normal. At that very moment, your heart starts to race. Could it be? Could this be one of those legendary pennies worth a life-changing amount of money? Collectors have had this very experience, finding an ordinary-looking penny that turns out to be worth thousands, or even millions. It's not a myth. It's not a rumor. It's real. Now, let's talk about what to look for if you want to find one of these valuable 1979 no-mint mark pennies. Step 1. Check the mint mark area. The absence of a mint mark means it was made in Philadelphia. That's your starting point. Step 2. Inspect the date and lettering carefully under a magnifying glass. Look for any signs of doubling, distortion, or shadowing. The slightest difference could mean everything. Step 3. Examine the condition. The less wear and tear, the higher the grade. Coins that look like they just came out of the mint, no scratches, no marks, can bring astronomical prices when certified by a professional grading company like PCGS or NGC. Step 4. Weigh the coin. Some 1979 pennies were struck on planchets with slight weight variations, often due to leftover materials from other minting years. Even a small difference in weight can make your coin valuable. And finally, Step 5. Get it graded. If you suspect your 1979 penny might be special, don't take chances. Send it to a reputable grading service. They'll confirm the authenticity, identify the variety, and assign it a grade that determines its value. Remember, collectors will pay a premium for coins with official certification, especially when they're among the best examples known to exist. Let's pause for a moment and think about this. How many times have we all handled pennies without even glancing at the date? How many times have we tossed them in drawers, jars, or pockets, thinking they were worthless? But hidden among those billions of coins could be a treasure, one that could change someone's life forever. That's the magic of coin collecting. It's not just about money. It's about history, discovery, and the thrill of finding something rare that connects you directly to the past. Now, let's talk a bit about the history behind the 1979 penny. This coin came at the end of the 1970s, a decade of economic challenges, inflation, and change in America. Pennies were still made mostly from 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving them a heavier feel and a richer tone than the newer zinc pennies minted after 1982. The 1979 penny represents the last era of full copper Lincoln cents, coins that feel solid, substantial, and deeply tied to American craftsmanship. That's one of the reasons collectors love this coin so much. It's not just valuable because of an era or rarity. It's valuable because it captures a moment in history that's gone forever. When word got out that a 1979 no-mint mark Lincoln penny had sold for over $1 million, collectors all over the world started checking their coins. Suddenly, the humble penny jar became a treasure chest. Some collectors reported finding uncirculated rolls of 1979 pennies from old bank vaults or estate sales, hoping to spot one of those rare double-die examples. Others began studying the minute details of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, looking for signs of design variations. It sparked a new wave of excitement in the coin collecting community, a reminder that hidden treasures still exist, even in the most ordinary places. But here's something truly fascinating. Many experts believe there are still undiscovered 1979 no-mint mark era pennies out there, coins sitting in boxes, tucked away in attics, or buried in collections that haven't been touched in decades. That means the next $1 million penny might still be waiting to be found, maybe by someone just like you. If you want to increase your chances of finding one, here's what you can do. Visit coin shows, estate sales, and local auctions. Look for unsearched coin rolls from banks or private sellers. Join collector forums and groups online. Many members share discoveries, photos, and valuable insights about varieties and die eras. The more you learn, the sharper your eye becomes, and the better your chances of spotting that hidden gem. Every great coin discovery starts the same way, with curiosity. Someone decides to look closer, to question what others ignore. And that's what separates casual spenders from true treasure hunters. So the next time you pick up a 1979 penny with no mint mark, don't let it slip through your fingers. Take a moment. Look carefully. That 1 cent might just hold a story, and a fortune, beyond your wildest dreams. Before we wrap up, remember this: the world of coins is full of surprises. Every date, every mint mark, every small imperfection could hold hidden value. The 1979 no mint mark Lincoln penny is proof that even the smallest coin can make the biggest impact. So keep searching, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of a simple penny. Because somewhere out there, another 1 cent piece could be waiting to turn an ordinary collector into a millionaire. If you enjoyed this story and want to discover more hidden treasures in your pocket change, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Each week, we uncover the rarest coins in American history, and one of them could be sitting in your home right now. Have you ever held a penny in your hand and wondered if it might be worth more than its face value? What if I told you, one ordinary-looking penny from 1978 with a tiny D beneath the date could be worth as much as $1.4 million? Yes, you heard that right. A single 1 cent coin that could change your life forever. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most mysterious and thrilling discoveries in U.S. coin collecting history, the 1978 D mint mark Lincoln penny that's turning heads, breaking records, and making collectors' hearts race. So grab your magnifying glass, because this is a story you don't want to miss. Let's rewind the clock back to 1978. Jimmy Carter was president. Gas prices were rising, disco ruled the airwaves, and millions of Americans were jingling Lincoln Memorial cents in their pockets without realizing they might be holding a hidden fortune. The Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of pennies that year. To the naked eye, they all looked the same: the familiar copper tone, Lincoln's noble profile on the front, the Lincoln Memorial standing tall on the back. But among those millions of coins, a few special pieces slipped through the cracks. These were no ordinary pennies. They were errors. Tiny mistakes that turned simple coins into once-in-a-lifetime treasures. But what kind of error could make a 1 cent coin worth more than a luxury home? That's what makes the 1978 D penny so fascinating. Collectors began whispering about this coin decades ago. It started when a few sharp-eyed treasure hunters noticed something strange. Under certain lighting, the coin's surface didn't match the rest. The color was slightly different, not quite the deep copper red of a typical Lincoln penny. And then came the shock: these rare pennies were made of the wrong metal planchet. You see, 1978 pennies were supposed to be made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. But a few were accidentally struck on experimental brass or even foreign coin planchets. That's right, these pennies were never meant to exist. And the Denver Mint had no idea they were being released into circulation. Now imagine being the lucky person who finds one in pocket change. You think it's just another coin, until you weigh it and realize it's slightly off. Maybe it's 3.2 grams instead of the normal 3.11 grams. You take a closer look under magnification and suddenly your heart stops. You realize this isn't just a coin. It's $1 million miracle. In recent years, collectors have paid staggering amounts for error coins like this. A near-perfect 1978 D Lincoln penny with a rare striking or planchet error sold for over $1.4 million at a private auction. That's the kind of story that keeps every coin hunter awake at night. The hope that one small penny could hold a life-changing secret. But what makes the 1978 D Mint penny so valuable isn't just its rarity. It's the story behind it. These coins tell the tale of the Mint's human side. A reminder that even the most precise machines and systems can make mistakes. And sometimes, those mistakes become legends. Let's talk about how to spot one. First, grab a magnifying glass or a coin microscope. Look carefully below the year 1978. You should see a small D mark, that's the Denver Mint. But that alone isn't enough. Look at the color and texture of the coin. Does it look off? Is it unusually shiny or oddly dull? That might be a clue. Next, weigh it. A standard copper penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If it's significantly lighter or heavier, it could have been struck on the wrong planchet. Also, look closely at Lincoln's bust. Are there doubling marks on the date or the word Liberty? A double die error can make your coin worth thousands, sometimes even more. And don't forget the edges. A smooth, clean edge is normal. But if you see anything irregular, like rim doubling or edge misalignment, that's another sign you've found something special. Coin experts recommend getting rare-looking coins authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. These experts can determine the true nature of your coin and, if it's genuine, certify it. A certified coin can skyrocket in value, especially if it's the only one of its kind known to exist. Let's pause for a second and think about that. One penny, sitting in a drawer for decades, could be worth more than an entire college education, a dream home, or even a comfortable retirement. Now, some people might think stories like this are exaggerated. But time and time again, we've seen average Americans turn pocket change into gold. The 1943 copper penny, the 1955 double die, the 1969 S double die obverse, all ordinary coins that became extraordinary treasures. The 1978 D is part of that same legacy. It's the kind of discovery that proves history still hides in plain sight. Even more fascinating is how these errors slip past quality control. Back in the 70s, the mint's production process was incredibly fast, striking hundreds of coins per minute. Human inspectors could only check so much, and sometimes, an off-metal planchet or slightly misaligned die would sneak through. Those few coins would quietly enter circulation, mixed in with millions of ordinary pennies. For decades, nobody noticed. Until one day, a coin collector weighed a strange penny, and the rest was history. Believe it or not, some of these rare pennies still hide in plain sight. They show up in old coffee cans, inherited coin jars, even forgotten piggy banks from childhood. People cash in jars of pennies at the bank every day without realizing what they're giving away. So before you roll your pennies or dump them in a machine, take a moment to look closely. That 1978 D penny in your hand could be your ticket to an unbelievable discovery. The best advice for every coin hunter is this: never underestimate the small things. A penny might be tiny, but its story could be worth a fortune. Collectors all over the world are still searching for more examples of the rare 1978 D mint penny. Each new discovery deepens the mystery. Why were so few made, and how did they escape into the world? Every time one surfaces, it sends shockwaves through the coin community. Imagine being the next person to find one. Imagine seeing that little D mint mark, realizing what it means, and knowing your life will never be the same again. Coins like these remind us that history isn't just locked in museums. It's sitting in our pockets, resting in our drawers, waiting to be rediscovered. The 1978 D Lincoln penny is a symbol of that magic, the magic of chance, of discovery, of luck meeting preparation. But some treasures are hiding in plain sight. Right now, one could be sitting quietly in your pocket, your coin jar, or your old dresser drawer. And today, we're uncovering one of the most mysterious and valuable coins in American history, the 1965 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, worth up to $1.5 million. You heard that right. A simple, everyday penny, the kind you've probably spent 1,000 times, could actually make you a millionaire. But how could something so small, so ordinary, be worth so much? That's the mystery that's left collectors speechless for decades. Let's go back in time, to the year 1965. The world was changing fast. The Beatles were ruling the radio, color TVs were becoming a luxury in American homes, and deep inside the U.S. Mint, something extraordinary was happening. The Mint was in crisis. Coin shortages were spreading across the nation, and people were hoarding coins made of silver and copper. So in 1965, the Mint made a drastic move. They removed mint marks from all coins to discourage hoarding. Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco. All coins, no mint marks. A new era had begun. But in that chaos, something unexpected slipped through the cracks. Among billions of Lincoln Memorial cents struck that year, a handful emerged with mysterious characteristics: perfect strikes, unusual metallic tones, and microscopic errors that turned them into numismatic gold. Some say these special 1965 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies were struck on leftover bronze planchets from 1964. Others believe they were early test strikes, experiments that never should have reached the public. But somehow, they did, and those few survivors became legends. Now here's where the story gets incredible. A collector, somewhere in the Midwest, purchased a roll of old pennies from a bank in the late 1980s. Inside that roll, he found a single 1965 penny that looked different, brighter, sharper, and heavier. Curious, he sent it for grading. When the results came back, experts confirmed it. A 1965 Lincoln penny struck on a bronze planchet instead of the standard copper nickel. A minting mistake, worth over $1 million. The coin world erupted. Collectors started combing through their jars, bank rolls, and old collections. Everyone wanted to find another. But even decades later, the genuine high-grade specimens remain unbelievably rare. First, composition. Most 1965 pennies were made from copper alloy, 95% copper and 5% zinc. But a few were accidentally struck using leftover bronze planchets from the previous year, giving them a richer, darker color and a slightly heavier weight. That's your first clue. If your coin is in uncirculated or proof-like condition, free of scratches, with sharp details, it can fetch staggering prices at auction. Collectors pay top dollar for coins that look like they just left the mint yesterday. Third, errors and varieties. Look closely at the lettering, the date, and Lincoln's profile. Some rare 1965 no-mint mark pennies show double die errors, slight doubling on the date, or the word Liberty. Others show off-center strikes or repunched designs. Any of these can send the value soaring. And fourth, authentication. To verify a $1 million penny, you need professional grading. Services like PCGS or NGC can confirm if you have one of those ultra-rare bronze or transitional era coins. Without that certification, you'll never know just how valuable your penny really is. But here's the truth, these treasures are still out there. Many Americans have jars and boxes filled with coins that have never been carefully examined. A single overlooked 1965 penny could change someone's life overnight. Imagine this: you're at your kitchen table, sorting through an old coffee can of change that's been sitting there for years, and suddenly, one penny catches your eye. It feels heavier. The color looks a little richer. The design, sharper. You put it under the light, and realize you could be holding one of the rarest coins in American history. That's the thrill of coin collecting. It's not just about money. It's about discovery. The feeling of uncovering a lost piece of the past. Something that connects you directly to history. Let's talk numbers. A regular 1965 Lincoln penny in circulated condition might be worth only 1 cent, but a high-grade bronze transitional era penny, authenticated and preserved, can bring 6 figures or more. In 2023, one of these rare examples fetched over $1.5 million at a private sale. And that's not a rumor, that's reality. First, grab a simple coin scale. A normal 1965 penny weighs about 3.11 grams if it's bronze and 2.5 grams if it's copper nickel. If your penny is closer to 3.11 grams, you might have something special. Is the color deep reddish brown, almost like aged copper rather than dull gray? Those are your visual signs of a potential jackpot. And don't forget, mint marks were removed that year. So if your 1965 penny has no mint mark, that's correct. But it's the metal, composition, and the striking quality that determine its true worth. Collectors also talk about cameo contrast. That's when the design pops out with a frosted look against a shiny background, common in proof coins. Some 1965 no-mint mark pennies display this effect, adding thousands to their value. If you're new to collecting, don't feel overwhelmed. Start small. Get a magnifying glass, a soft cloth, and start examining every penny you find. Coin collecting is about patience, passion, and curiosity. And sometimes, That curiosity can lead you straight to $1 million discovery. Think about it, you might be sitting on a fortune without even knowing it. Every time you hand over change at a store, every time you drop coins into a jar, one of them could be the key to an extraordinary story. There are stories of people who found rare pennies in their grandparents' collections, at yard sales, even in parking lots. And the 1965 no-mint mark penny is one of those rare cases that keeps that dream alive. Because this isn't just about luck. It's about awareness, about looking closely at the things most people ignore. Every coin tells a story, and the 1965 no-mint mark Lincoln penny tells a story of change, crisis, and hidden fortune. The next time we're diving into one of the most shocking discoveries in modern coin history, the 1991 Lincoln penny that's worth up to $1 million. Imagine this. You're going through your loose change, maybe at the grocery store or while cleaning out your car, and you notice a penny that looks ordinary. A 1991 Lincoln cent, with that little D mint mark under the date. You think nothing of it. But what if that very coin could change your life forever? This is not a fantasy. It's a story that's actually happened, and it could happen to you. Let's go back in time to understand WHY. In 1991, the Denver Mint produced millions of Lincoln Memorial cents. Most were made of copper-plated zinc, 97.5% zinc, and just 2.5% copper. Nothing unusual about that, right? But deep within those billions of coins, a tiny handful of rare errors slipped through. Coins that were struck with mistakes so unusual, collectors are willing to pay astronomical amounts for them today. The key to the 1991 penny's incredible value lies in the errors, and in its condition. Some of these 1991 pennies were struck on bronze planchets by mistake. Bronze planchets had stopped being used almost a decade earlier, back in 1982, when the mint switched to zinc. But a few leftover bronze blanks somehow found their way into the presses at the Denver Mint. The result? A coin that looks like every other penny, but weighs slightly more and carries a composition that shouldn't exist. Those pennies are now among the rarest modern U.S. coins ever found. If you happen to have one, its value could reach well over $1 million, especially if it's in pristine, uncirculated condition. Collectors and grading experts look for three main things to identify this treasure. First, weight. A regular 1991 penny made of zinc should weigh about 2.5 grams. But if your coin weighs around 3.1 grams, you might be holding one of those legendary bronze planchet errors. Second, color and tone. Bronze coins have a deeper, richer reddish-brown hue compared to the lighter, shinier tone of copper-plated zinc cents. And third, strike clarity and mint luster. If your coin looks crisp and sharp, with no wear, it's worth even more. But wait, there's another secret that can make this coin skyrocket in value even further: die varieties and minting mistakes. Some 1991 Lincoln pennies have been discovered with doubled dies, meaning the design on the coin was accidentally struck twice, slightly off from the first impression. Under magnification, you can sometimes see a doubling effect on the date, the words, "Liberty," or, "In God We Trust." A clear double die on a 1991 penny can multiply its value by hundreds of thousands of dollars. And when these rare characteristics are verified by grading companies like PCGS or NGC, the sky's the limit. The record-breaking sales often happen at high-profile coin auctions, where bidders compete fiercely to own a piece of history. In fact, one verified 1991 Lincoln cent error, struck on a bronze planchet and graded mint state, sold for nearly $1 million, stunning collectors around the world. Think about that for a second. A single 1-cent coin, the same kind you've tossed into a jar or dropped under your car seat, sold for more than most homes in America. That's the magic of numismatics, the science, art, and passion of coin collecting. It transforms everyday objects into priceless treasures. Now, here's what you should do if you suspect you've got a rare 1991 penny. Inspect it closely. Use a magnifying glass and good lighting. Look at the color, details, and the D mint mark. Weigh it. If it's heavier than 2.5 grams, you may have something extraordinary. Avoid cleaning it. Never polish or scrub a coin. Cleaning damages its surface and can destroy its value instantly. Get it graded. Send your coin to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Their certification will confirm its authenticity and determine its condition. And finally, do your research. Check recent auction results and collector forums. You'd be amazed how many people have discovered small fortunes hiding in plain sight. Let's take a moment to reflect on how incredible this really is. A coin minted over 3 decades ago, meant to be worth just 1 cent, is now changing lives because of a small minting error. It's a reminder that sometimes, the greatest treasures don't come wrapped in gold or diamonds. They're hiding in your spare change. So next time you get a handful of pennies back from a cashier, take a closer look. Check that date. Look for that D under Lincoln's portrait. Because the next $1 million penny might be in your pocket right now, just waiting to be found. Every coin tells a story. Every coin has a past. But only a few can change your future. The 1991 D Lincoln penny is one of those coins. So keep your eyes open, your magnifying glass ready, and your curiosity alive. You never know when you might uncover the next great American treasure. If you enjoyed this story and want to learn more about rare and valuable coins, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another discovery. In 2014, millions of ordinary pennies were struck and released into circulation across the United States. But what if I told you that one of these seemingly common coins, a simple 2014 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, could secretly be worth up to $1.1 million today? Yes, a coin you might have right now sitting in your change jar, your car console, or your wallet could be a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. Let's dive deep into this unbelievable story. In 2014, the U.S. Mint produced billions of Lincoln pennies. Most were made at the Philadelphia Mint, which, as collectors know, usually doesn't carry a mint mark. So when you see a penny without a mint mark, it's almost always from Philadelphia. But here's where things get mysterious. A small number of these 2014 no-mint Mark Lincoln pennies were struck with extraordinary mistakes, rare minting errors that transformed an ordinary cent into a once-in-a-lifetime collector's item. Some of these coins exhibit doubled dies, off-center strikes, or planchet errors that make them stand out instantly under close inspection. Others were struck on the wrong metal planchet entirely, a freak accident that has made them worth over $1 million to serious collectors. Now imagine this. You're sorting through your spare change. You pick up a shiny 2014 penny, and something looks different. Maybe Lincoln's profile looks slightly thicker, or the date appears doubled, or the rim seems uneven. What you're holding might not just be a penny, it could be your ticket to a fortune. It's all about the minting error. The rarest known examples of the 2014 penny were struck on a leftover copper planchet, a composition no longer used for modern pennies. This tiny difference, invisible to the casual eye, can transform a 1-cent coin into a $1 million masterpiece. Let's talk about composition for a moment. Modern pennies, since 1982, are made of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating. But a handful of these 2014 pennies were accidentally struck using solid copper planchets, the kind used decades ago. That mistake created an ultra-rare variety. When experts discovered one of these in near-perfect condition, it was sent to grading services like PCGS and NGC, where it earned one of the highest possible grades, MS67 or MS68 red. When that coin hit the auction block, collectors went wild. Bidding soared past 6 figures and eventually crossed the $1 million mark. Why? Because no one expected such a modern penny to carry a mistake this significant, especially from the Philadelphia Mint, where quality control is famously strict. First, check the weight. A regular 2014 penny made of zinc weighs about 2.5 grams. But the rare copper version weighs closer to 3.11 grams. All you need is a simple digital scale to find out. If your 2014 no-mint Mark penny tips the scale at 3.1 grams, do not spend it. It could be worth a life-changing amount. Next, examine the color and luster. Copper pennies tend to have a deeper reddish tone compared to the lighter, almost orange shade of zinc ones. Over time, copper develops a richer patina, while zinc-based pennies often dull faster. If yours looks unusual in color or tone, that's a clue worth investigating. Now let's talk about doubled dies and other striking errors. Some 2014 no-mint mark pennies display doubling on Lincoln's eye, his beard, or the word Liberty. You might also see extra thickness on the date or the word trust in God we trust. These small distortions can increase the value exponentially, sometimes from a single dollar to tens of thousands. And then there are off-center strikes, coins where the design is slightly shifted from the center. The more dramatic the shift, the higher the value. Some examples with more than 50% off-center errors have sold for thousands of dollars. Combine that with a copper planchet, and you're suddenly looking at a coin worth over $1 million. Collectors are constantly hunting for modern errors like these because they're proof that even in an age of high-tech minting machinery, human error and mechanical imperfections still create rare masterpieces. These coins remind us that treasures can still slip through the cracks, literally. First, handle it carefully. Never clean or polish it. Use gloves if possible. Cleaning can destroy its value. Then, get it authenticated by a professional grading company such as PCGS or NGC. These organizations will inspect your coin, confirm its authenticity, assign it a grade, and seal it in a protective holder. That official certification is what turns your penny into a verified treasure that collectors will pay top dollar for. Let's put this into perspective. You could have hundreds of pennies in your home, and among them might be the one that changes your life forever. That's the magic of coin collecting. Every pocket full of change is a chance to uncover history, mystery, and fortune all in one. One of the most inspiring stories in modern numismatics came from a man who found his rare penny purely by accident. He was rolling up change from his kitchen counter when he noticed that his 2014 penny felt slightly heavier than the rest. Out of curiosity, he weighed it, and that tiny difference led him to contact an expert. Weeks later, that same penny sold for more than $1 million. Imagine that. A single coin from your everyday life turning into enough money to buy your dream home, pay off debts, or even retire early. If that doesn't give you goosebumps, I don't know what will. Every year, new discoveries like this continue to surface. People are finding valuable coins in circulation that no one believed still existed. It's a thrilling reminder that luck often hides in plain sight. That's why collectors across America are now checking their 2014 pennies carefully, looking for that one no-mint mark coin that could be worth a fortune. So tonight, go through your change jar. Check every 2014 penny you can find. Look for that no-mint mark. Weigh it. Examine it. You never know, your next discovery could be the one that rewrites your financial story forever. The world's most valuable coins aren't always found in ancient collections or hidden vaults. Sometimes, they're sitting quietly in your pocket, waiting for someone like you to notice them. Yes, you heard that right. A simple 1980 Lincoln penny with no mint mark could be worth as much as $1.2 million today. Let's take a deep breath and dive deep into one of the most mysterious and exciting discoveries in modern coin collecting history. Because what looks like just another brown cent might be your ticket to fortune. It all starts in 1980. The U.S. Mint was producing millions upon millions of Lincoln Memorial pennies, each one stamped with the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. But in the middle of all that mass production, something rare happened, something the Mint never intended. Among the endless sea of copper-plated coins, a few came out without a mint mark. No D for Denver. No S for San Francisco. Just a clean, simple 1980, and Lincoln's face staring back. To most people, that missing little letter meant nothing. But to collectors it meant everything, because a no-mint mark coin can signal a striking error, a rare variation, or even a mix-up in mint operations that makes that single coin one of a kind. And one such 1980 penny, perfectly preserved, with that missing mint mark, shocked the coin world when it sold for a jaw-dropping $1.2 million at a private auction. But before you rush to your coin jar, let's understand why this penny is so special. The 1980 penny sits at the tail end of a fascinating period in American coinage. Just a couple of years later, in 1982, the mint switched from mostly copper pennies to zinc ones. But in 1980, pennies were still made of 95% copper, and that makes a big difference. Copper pennies feel heavier. They ring differently when dropped. And they hold a certain warmth that later zinc pennies just don't have. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Most 1980 pennies were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. Coins from Denver carry a little D. Coins from San Francisco carry an S. But the Philadelphia Mint, at that time, often didn't use a mint mark at all. So you might ask, what makes a 1980 no mint mark penny special if it came from Philadelphia? The answer lies in how it was struck, its condition, and its errors. Let's talk about condition first. The king of coin collecting. If your 1980 penny looks worn, scratched, or dull, it's likely only worth face value. But if you have a penny that's crisp, with deep red luster, sharp edges, and absolutely no signs of wear, you might be holding a mint state coin. Coins graded MS-65 or higher, meaning near perfect, can already fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But one particular penny stood out. It wasn't just mint condition. It had something extraordinary. Experts discovered a die error, where the striking process slightly misaligned, causing subtle doubling on Lincoln's date or lettering, known as a double die error. This tiny imperfection transformed an ordinary penny into one of the rarest coins ever to exist. A 1980 no-mint mark penny that collectors went absolutely wild for, with one verified piece eventually reaching $1.2 million. Now, let's talk about what you can look for. Go grab your coin jar. Yes, seriously. You're looking for a 1980 Lincoln Memorial penny with no mint mark, meaning there's no D or S under the date. Sharp details. Lincoln's hair, face, and jacket should be crisp and clearly defined. Full luster. The coin should have a bright, reddish shine, not dull brown. No visible damage. No scratches, dents, or smudges. Doubling. Look closely at the date, 1980, or the word Liberty. If you see what looks like a shadow or a second outline, that's a double die, and that's where the magic happens. If your coin checks those boxes, you could be looking at something extremely valuable. Don't rush to spend it or clean it. That's the biggest mistake collectors make. Cleaning can ruin a coin's value instantly. Instead, take clear, high-resolution photos of both sides and reach out to a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can professionally grade and authenticate your coin, giving it an official certificate of its condition and rarity. Once graded, collectors and auction houses will take your penny seriously, and that's where the big offers start rolling in. But even if your 1980 penny isn't worth $1 million, that doesn't mean it's worthless. High-quality examples in MS-65 or MS-66 can still bring in hundreds, sometimes even thousands, depending on the shine, strike, and rarity, and the thrill of checking every penny you come across. That's part of what makes coin collecting so powerful, because it's not just about money. It's about history. Every coin tells a story, of the year it was made, the people who used it, and the craftsmanship of the mint that created it. The 1980 penny, for example, sits between two eras, the classic Copper Age and the modern zinc era. It's a link between America's past and present, a tiny piece of history that fits right in your palm. Now imagine this. You find a shiny old penny, think nothing of it, and toss it in your pocket. Later that night, out of curiosity, you check it under a lamp. You see 1980. You see no mint mark. You grab your magnifier and notice a faint doubling on the date. That single moment, that pulse of discovery, has changed people's lives. It's the same excitement treasure hunters feel when they strike gold. And for a few lucky people, it literally has meant striking gold. Because those rare 1980 no mint mark pennies are now legendary, each one a symbol of luck, patience, and the magic hiding in plain sight. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't ignore that little penny staring up at you. Check the date. Look closely. Because that 1-cent coin might not just be a penny. It might be $1.2 million in disguise. The next time you grab a handful of change, you might be holding your future. So keep searching, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of what's already in your hands. Because sometimes, the smallest coin can hold the biggest fortune. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more rare coin discoveries that could change your life. What if I told you that one tiny coin, a 1988 Lincoln penny, could make you a millionaire overnight? Stay with me until the end because what you're about to hear will change the way you look at every coin in your pocket forever. It was 1988. The United States Mint in Denver was producing millions of ordinary Lincoln Memorial pennies. Each one was worth just 1 cent, nothing special, right? But among those millions, a tiny handful came out different. A mistake so rare, so perfectly hidden, that it would take decades before collectors began to realize its true value. These pennies, bearing the 1988 D Mint mark, look ordinary to the naked eye. But under close inspection, they reveal something incredible, a small, almost invisible detail that separates the million-dollar treasure from the common cent. It's called a transitional design error, and it's one of the most exciting discoveries in coin collecting history. Now here's where it gets fascinating. The 1988 D penny was supposed to feature a specific design on Lincoln's bust and the word Liberty. But a few pennies were accidentally struck using the obverse die from 1989, the next year's design. This mix-up created what's known as the 1988 D reverse of 1989 variety. To the untrained eye, it's almost impossible to spot. But for those who know what to look for, this single design mismatch transforms an ordinary penny into a life-changing fortune, worth up to $1.3 million in pristine condition. Imagine that. A 1-cent coin, worth more than most houses in America. Now you're probably wondering, how do you know if you have one of these rare treasures hiding in your collection or pocket change? First, check the date on your penny. It must say 1988 and have a small d just below the date. That's the mint mark for Denver. Then, turn the coin slightly and look at the letters FG near the base of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side. On regular 1988 pennies, the FG initials have a certain style. The letters are bold and wide apart. But on the rare transitional error, the FG is different, thinner, sharper, and closer to the base, because it used the 1989 die design. If your penny matches that subtle FG style, congratulations, you might just be holding one of the rarest Lincoln cents ever struck. But here's where the story gets even more unbelievable. In 2020, a collector discovered one of these rare 1988 D transitional pennies in an old coin jar. It had been sitting there for years, untouched, forgotten, and assumed worthless. When he brought it to a professional grader, experts confirmed it was one of only a few known examples in mint condition. That same coin later sold for an incredible $1.3 million. That's what makes coin collecting so magical. These aren't just small pieces of metal. They're tiny time machines, each with its own hidden story, its own chance to turn luck into legacy. It comes down to rarity, condition, and error type. Rarity because only a handful of these 1988 D transitional pennies exist. Condition because collectors pay exponentially more for coins that still have that bright mint luster, without scratches or wear. And the error type because transitional design mistakes are some of the most sought after in all of US coinage. Collectors love these errors because they mark historical moments, times when technology, human error, and luck collided to create something truly one of a kind. Even today, more of these rare pennies could still be hiding in circulation, in old coffee cans, in dresser drawers, or tucked away in forgotten coin collections passed down from grandparents. So here's what you need to do. Tonight, grab that jar of loose change you've been ignoring. Dump it out. Look closely at every penny from 1988 with a D mint mark. Use a magnifying glass or even the zoom on your phone camera. Check that tiny FG detail on the back. If it matches the 1989 style, stop everything and protect that coin. Don't clean it, don't polish it, and don't spend it. Put it in a soft coin holder and contact a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate it and help you determine its true market value. Because who knows, that one little coin could be your ticket to financial freedom. Think about it. We toss pennies away every day without a second thought. We see them as worthless. But stories like this prove that hidden fortune doesn't always come in gold bars or lottery tickets. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with curiosity and patience to discover it. The 1988 D Lincoln penny worth $1.3 million is not just a coin. It's a reminder that treasures are still out there. Real, tangible, life-changing treasures that anyone, yes, anyone, can find. So the next time you see a dull, copper-colored penny lying on the ground, don't walk past it. Pick it up. Flip it over. Look closely. Because the day you do, you might just be holding history, and your own $1 million miracle. Before you go, remember this. Collectors all over the world are still searching for hidden gems like the 1988 D penny. Every year, more discoveries are made. So stay curious, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of a single cent. If you found this story inspiring, hit that like button, subscribe for more rare coin discoveries, and share this video with a friend who might be sitting on a fortune without even knowing it. Your next penny could be worth over $1 million, and all it takes is one lucky find to change everything. We're diving deep into one of the most shocking discoveries in coin collecting history, the 1982 D Lincoln penny, a coin that looks so ordinary, yet one rare version is worth a staggering $1.4 million. So before you spend your next penny, listen carefully. Because you might already have this treasure sitting right in your pocket. Change. Let's rewind to the year 1982. It was a turning point in U.S. coin history. For decades, Lincoln pennies were made mostly of solid copper. But in 1982, something changed forever. The U.S. Mint decided to switch from copper to a cheaper metal, zinc, because the rising cost of copper meant that making a penny cost more than a penny itself. That year, both copper and zinc pennies were produced. And that's where the mystery begins. During the transition, something unexpected happened. At the Denver Mint, a few pennies were accidentally struck using the wrong metal, solid copper planchets instead of the new zinc ones. Those rare errors, the 1982 D copper small date Lincoln pennies, are now some of the most valuable coins ever discovered. Now, here's where it gets fascinating. A collector discovered one of these rare 1982 D small date pennies and sent it for authentication. When experts confirmed it was real, made of copper, not zinc, the coin world went wild. Only one authentic example has been confirmed so far. And it sold for over $1.4 million. Just imagine that for a moment. A single penny, worth more than a luxury home, worth more than a lifetime of paychecks. And it could still be out there, waiting for someone like you to find it. Let's break it down step by step. First, flip the coin and look just below the year. If you see AD, that means it was minted in Denver. The only mint tied to this $1 million mystery. Next, pay attention to the size of the date numbers. There are two types, large date and small date. The small date version has a thinner, more delicate number design. The 2 in the date sits slightly higher and has a subtle curve. Collectors know it instantly once they've seen it. But the real secret is not just the date. It's what the coin is made of. You see, the normal 1982 D pennies are zinc with a thin copper coating. They weigh about 2.5 grams. But the rare one, the $1 million error, is made of solid copper, just like pennies before 1982. It weighs 3.1 grams. That difference, just 0.6 grams, is what separates an ordinary penny from a $1.4 million miracle. All you need is a simple digital scale. The kind jewelers or coin collectors use. If your 1982 D penny weighs around 3.1 grams and it's the small date version, you could be holding one of the rarest modern coins in American history. During the transition from copper to zinc, the mint used up leftover copper planchets before switching completely. But in the Denver facility, somehow, a few old copper planchets slipped into the presses after the switch. That simple mistake created a coin so rare, so valuable, it's become the holy grail for modern penny hunters. For decades, collectors searched for this exact error. Many believed it was just a myth. But when the first verified example appeared, the impossible became real. The coin was authenticated by the experts at PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and it forever changed what we thought was possible with modern pennies. Think about that. Tens of billions of 1982 pennies were minted. Billions of them have circulated across grocery stores, cash registers, and piggy banks. And yet, one single coin, just one, has surfaced that's worth over $1 million. So imagine the odds that another might still be out there. Maybe in an old jar in your garage. Maybe in a forgotten roll from the bank. Maybe sitting unnoticed in your collection right now. That's the magic of coin collecting. It's not just about metal and mint marks. It's about stories, mysteries, and the thrill of the hunt. Every time you look at a penny, you're holding a piece of American history. And sometimes, that piece of history can rewrite your future. Fortune doesn't always come in gold bars or lottery tickets. Sometimes, it comes in the smallest, simplest form. A penny that most people would overlook. So the next time you find a 1982 penny, don't ignore it. Take a closer look. Check for the D mint mark. Look carefully at the date. Is it the small date design? Then, weigh it. If it reads 3.1 grams, you might just be holding $1 million secret. Because somewhere out there, more of these coins could still exist. And one day, the next lucky collector who finds one will turn an ordinary penny into a once-in-a-lifetime fortune. Before you go, remember this: every coin has a story, and every story has the power to change your life. So keep searching, keep dreaming, and never stop looking closely at your change. Because your next penny could be the one that makes you a millionaire. If you enjoyed this video and want to discover more hidden treasures in your pocket change, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the bell icon. There are still millions of valuable coins out there waiting to be found, and you deserve to find one. We're diving into one of the most mind-blowing discoveries in American coin history, the 1969 D. Lincoln penny. A coin so ordinary, yet one rare version is worth up to $1.5 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single penny that could make you a millionaire overnight. So grab your change jar, because by the end of this video, you'll never look at a penny the same way again. In 1969, the Denver Mint produced millions of Lincoln pennies. More than 4 billion to be exact. They were small copper coins featuring President Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. At first glance, nothing special. Just another penny for your pocket. But hidden among those billions of coins, a handful were struck with something so unique, so shocking, that collectors today would pay fortunes to own one. To understand why, let's rewind for a moment. In 1969, the United States Mint was struggling with die preparation issues. Dies are the metal stamps used to press the design into each coin. Sometimes, these dies would be duplicated or engraved incorrectly, and that's exactly where the story begins. Among all those 1969 pennies, a few coins were struck with a powerful error. A doubled die obverse. That means the entire front side of the coin, the words, the date, and even Lincoln's portrait, appear doubled. Almost like a shadow. To the untrained eye, it might look like a simple blur. But to a coin collector? That's a jackpot. Now here's the twist. The most famous double die penny from 1969 doesn't have a mint mark at all. It was made in Philadelphia. But the 1969 D version, the one made in Denver, has become one of the most mysterious and valuable coins ever found. There are only a few verified examples of 1969 D Lincoln pennies with extremely rare die characteristics, and experts believe these few survivors were the result of an experimental die process that should never have made it to circulation. Collectors and historians have spent decades searching for them. Some experts say that the Denver Mint may have produced a few early test strikes before correcting the error, and those coins escaped into the world, into pockets, piggy banks, and old coin jars. Now here's where things get exciting. One of these rare 1969 D Lincoln pennies surfaced in a private collection and was authenticated by the Professional Coin Grading Service, or PCGS. It was later valued at an incredible $1.5 million. All because of its one-of-a-kind doubling, flawless strike, and near-perfect condition. Imagine that. A coin that was once worth 1 cent, now worth more than a luxury home. Let's break it down. First, rarity. Fewer than 5 verified examples are known to exist in pristine condition. Second, the doubling effect on these coins is dramatic and unmistakable. The words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1969, all appear doubled, creating that ghost-like shadow collectors dream of finding. Third, Historical significance.it represents a fascinating chapter in U.S. mint history, when mechanical imperfections turned simple change into million-dollar treasures. Now, let's talk about how you can identify one. Grab a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe and take a close look at your 1969 D. Lincoln pennies. Start with the lettering. Liberty should appear thick, with a strong shadow just beside each letter. Then look at the date, especially the 9s, in 1969. If they look doubled or slightly split, you might be holding something extraordinary. But be careful. There are many machine doubling pennies out there, and they're worth little to nothing. Real doubled dies show clear, rounded, and distinct doubling, not flat or smeared lines. Next, check the mint mark. The D under the date should look sharp and perfectly placed. If the doubling doesn't affect the mint mark, that's a good sign you might have a true doubled die. The mint mark was punched separately, so if it's not doubled while the rest of the coin is, you may have found something extremely rare. If your coin looks promising, don't clean it, don't polish it, and don't try to make it shine. Cleaning can ruin its value instantly. Instead, place it in a protective holder and contact a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication. They can determine whether your coin is genuine and give it an official grade, which can drastically increase its market value. Now imagine this. Someone could have a coin like this sitting unnoticed in an old coffee can, a drawer, or a coin jar. Every day, new discoveries happen. A penny found at a garage sale. A jar opened after decades. And suddenly, that 1-cent coin becomes a life-changing moment. That's the magic of coin collecting, the thrill of discovery, the connection to history, and the dream that something so small could hold unimaginable value. Even if you don't find the million-dollar penny, the search itself connects you to America's story. Every coin has a past. It's been through hands, decades, and memories. But some carry secrets that only a lucky few ever uncover. So the next time you see a 1969 D. Lincoln penny, don't just spend it. Take a closer look. Because hidden in that small piece of copper could be a ticket to fortune, a piece of history worth $1.5 million. Remember, it only takes one coin to change everything. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want to learn more about rare coins worth a fortune, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another treasure hunt. Because somewhere out there, a simple penny is waiting to make its next owner a millionaire.